I think I personally, he never said this to me, but I personally think just the energy that I felt in that room, that if Rangers came calling, that he'd go and he'd at least have that conversation.
We're told Gerrard's the leading contender to take over at Ibrox from the sacked Russell Martin. Meanwhile, we understand Rangers sporting director sounded out Sean Dyche, and Hearts boss Derek McInnes remains an option. Suspected online hate crimes referred to police have already quadrupled this season. There have been 170 since August. Head of football policing Mark Roberts wants a new body set up to tackle racism in football.
A massive difference, and whether it's education, whether it's in stadium hate, whether it's online hate, the way we're going to tackle this most effectively is by doing it in a joined up way.
Most of the player abuse is on social media. 2/3 comes from overseas. Now, UEFA President Alexander Ceferin says taking matches abroad risks breaking football. He insisted at the time the decision to let Serie A and La Liga to take matches to Australia and the US did not set a precedent. He's now said football is not just about balance sheets or entertainment, it's the streets, the clubs and the fans that shape it. Leading rugby union nations are threatening to ban players from internationals if they join a new breakaway league. Ireland, England, Scotland, New Zealand, South Africa and Australia are warning the proposed R360 competition could be enormously harmful to the game. And huge Ashes news coming out of Australia. Their captain Pat Cummins is reportedly set to miss the first test and potentially the whole series with a back problem. There's more Ashes build-up on the talkSPORT Cricket YouTube.
talkSPORT News.
Lenny Henry says all black British people should get reparations for slavery. And 2 teenagers are being questioned by police over an apparent cyber attack on a chain of nurseries. Cara has more at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. Come rain or shine, wherever and whenever suits you with our mobile tyre fitting service. Now that will have you driving away happy every time. Conditions apply.
Dry with sunny spells for most, but in the south, patchy rain will hang around till the early afternoon. Showers in the north and west, temperatures near average.
Contemplation, agitation, expectation for the football nation. Welcome to the Colosseum of confrontation. White versus Jordan. When the mics go live, the gloves come off.
White and Jordan.
Mid-mornings on talkSPORT.
Good morning, everybody. You're listening to Jim White, Simon Jordan and Danny Murphy. We're live on talkSPORT. So, as Steven Gerrard claims that his England generation were egotistical losers, how much dressing room harmony do you need for success? Meantime, the roar of 180 is heading to Saudi Arabia. But can the darts work without the drink? Also today, has the international rugby threat killed R360? Do players care about how they're perceived? With Cold Palmer trademarked, what comes first, success or the brand? Is Wembley set to become the home of Arsenal? And 4 years on, how far have Newcastle come under PIF? This is Jim White, Simon Jordan and Danny Murphy, and we are live on talkSPORT.
100% engagement. Jim White and Simon Jordan on talkSPORT.
Danny, I've got to say, I mean, like normal mere mortals, you and I leave our desks out there and then come in here, take our seats and we're ready to broadcast.
It's the way he rolls, mate.
It's the way it rolls. Whereas Lord Jordan is nowhere to be seen. The door is swung open as I'm about to say good morning, everybody, as I've just done. And here he is.
To be honest,
have to be spontaneous.
He's probably still recovering from the events of Friday night.
Well said, Dan. Well said.
I heard that was an exciting journey back.
No, it wasn't exciting in the slightest. Irritating, but not exciting.
Well, Danny, I'll never
You
forget.
should have got
the
it on
moment.
video.
Oh,
mate.
Mm-hmm. Well, unbeknownst to Simon, I've actually got a picture or two of him walking along Crew Station platform.
At 1 a.m.
At 1 a.m. There's one particular one. You're looking to your left, like particularly perplexed. It's very, very funny.
I take it you told the viewers on Monday about this.
It is. Look at the head down.
Yeah.
The head is
My
down.
head would have been down.
I was screaming at him saying, "You flaky fanny, why are we going to get on these coaches? Why are you going to get on these minibuses? I am not getting on a minibus. Not happening. Well, I'll get on it."
See, this is what
Simon
your
and I had
reward
been
is
at the
for
Chris
being healthy.
Boyd lunch, the charity lunch in Glasgow, on one of the worst days of the year in terms of the weather, and then no flights, came back by train, and I'll never forget the look in his face. 5-6 hours into the journey to Euston in London. The next station is Crewe, our final
7
destination
hours into the
of
journey.
the evening. Was it 7 hours?
We left Glasgow at 6.
Yeah.
And we got into Crewe at 1 a.m.
Oh, I'll never forget. You are a workaholic these days. I hear you. I see you everywhere. What's been going on?
Did a bit of PLP on Saturday with Glenn Hoddle and Wrighty. That was a good day.
Okay, Premier League.
Although Wrighty was happy and I wasn't because Arsenal won and Liverpool lost. So, yeah, that was unbearable as the day drew on. But no, it was good fun with those two. And then Sunday match of the day, Monday I was in here. Yeah, I'm feeling a little bit overworked.
I'll bet. Well, you're doing very well. Very well. Did Danny just say he's feeling a bit overworked?
And you were down the golf course the other day with Adam Booth, so I understand.
Last night I saw him.
Oh, all right.
He spoke very well of you. He spoke very well of you.
Now, before I forget, Janet, big Evertonian, happy birthday to you. I know, Janet, I've been meaning to mention it. It was last Friday. We're now at Wednesday, but happy birthday all the same. Everton, have you been to the new stadium yet, Danny?
I went last week.
And?
Really impressive, yeah.
Yeah.
Really impressive.
Yeah, looks good.
Looks great.
On a par with Anfield?
Come on.
Nearly went.
No, it's really nice.
One of Danny's former colleagues at Liverpool, of course, and one of his great muckers, Stephen Gerrard, has been speaking. And he's been speaking to Rio Ferdinand on the Rio Meets podcast. He's been talking about his England memories. Now, Gerrard has described former England teammates as egotistical losers with bitter Premier League rivalries that made him loathe call-ups during his international career. He reflected on his time with England amongst the so-called golden generation.
I think we were all egotistical losers.
Yeah.
Because I watch the telly now and I see Carragher sitting next to Paul Scholes on this fan debate and they look like they've been best mates for 20 years. And I see Carragher's relationship with Gary Neville, they look like they've been mates for 20 years. I'm probably more close and friendly with you now than I ever was when I played with you for 15 years. So why didn't we connect when we were 20, 21, 22, 23? Was it ego? Was it rivalry? Was it... Why are we all mature enough now and at stages in our life where we're closer and more connected now? Why couldn't we connect as England teammates back then? And I think it was down to the culture within England that we were all never connected, all in our rooms too much. We wasn't friendly or connected. We wasn't a team.
No.
We never at any stage become a real good, strong team.
Wow, it was never a team. We never connected. There was certainly, undoubtedly, Danny, it was a dressing room full of quality. But had it been a dressing room full of harmony, might they have ended up winning something?
Yeah, maybe. I think Stevie's more educated than me on talking about his time with England because he was with the squad so many years. I was only part of that squad for a couple of years. And the days were tedious and long. There wasn't much help or inspiration from the management in regarding getting you together and doing more. But maybe, he talks about immaturity. Sometimes I suppose you are as players. You don't... I never really saw that big friction with the United boys. I've gotten all right with them. But I know what he means. There wasn't really a togetherness like you'd be away with the club team. So he makes a fair point, really.
I mean, it's such a missed opportunity looking back at that.
Yeah.
Because had it been, this lot might have won you something.
I'm still a believer that tactically we were wrong, that we stuck with the 4-4-2, maybe because Beck's played on the right and Owen needed a partner, all those different things we thought were necessary. But I suppose you could argue what Gareth did with the England squad, which was a lesser squad in terms of ability and getting further in competitions, was a lot to do with their togetherness. So I think it's a pretty fair point he makes.
I mean, it should have been encouraged, Simon. Or should it have been encouraged? Should they not have just get closer and been decent to each other anyway?
I don't know what the purpose of these mea culpas are. These sort of retrospective drive-bys about they probably didn't think this at the time, and over the years they've accumulated this thought process, and now they trot it out in interviews like this.
Well, what he was saying was that now we see this relationship between Gary Neville and Carrer and
Yeah, but that's because. But first of all, that's 20 years after the fact.
I know, that's what you're saying.
Mature men.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. They're not competitors anymore.
You're mature men. We've all changed from our 20s to our 40s to our 50s. So these are grown men at certain times, you'd think, although some of the drivel that comes out of Gary Neville's mouth doesn't necessarily lend itself towards that, does it? But going
10
to
past 10,
going
early.
going early with that, going to the point that he makes, the culture. This is the culture that we create in footballers to some extent. The sense of entitlement, and I understand it, but I also disagree with it. The sense of entitlement puts you into a rarefied air where you're institutionalized, and everything is provided for you. Everything that you need to have is given to you, rather than you having to deal with it yourself. So to suggest that it's very difficult to go away to play for your country for a very short period of time and to be stuck in hotel rooms because you didn't have a mobile phone, which of course you would have done at that time because mobile phones were well in existence.
We did, but it was only you could only text on them.
Sure, but the fact of the matter is that because we've built in to footballers' culture that there is, that they are a very rarefied breed. They can never be told that they're wrong. And ultimately, criticism is not something that's available to them, certainly not inside the industry. They accept it from outside the industry, but not inside it. It produces this sort of mentality which is not able. We do not hear these mea culpas from other countries, other teams that have other international players that have played for their countries at times when it hasn't been quite the success that maybe they thought they were entitled to. And here's another little nugget. Maybe we just weren't good enough. Maybe the teams that beat us were better than us. When we went to 2002 World Cup where we had a chance, we got beat by the Brazilians. They were a better side.
Yeah.
2006, whoever beat us. 2010, categorically we weren't good enough. So you look at these questions and we write our own little observations about this golden generation. With all due respect to Steven Gerrard, who was a wonderful footballer and I have the greatest admiration for, and the rest of that group, maybe just against the opposition that we played against, despite our own nationalistic belief that we were very good, maybe we just weren't as good as the opposition, and that is about the long, short and tall of it.
Yeah.
So we are potentially now, because the opposition has diminished and there are no dominant teams.
I think that's a fair point. I mean, there's no guarantee, even if we were all together and doing more team bonding things, or we were all a bit more mature and everyone was getting on better, that they would have won. I mean, from a footballing perspective, it doesn't really matter what you do sometimes. I mean, the best example I ever saw was when, this feud between Andy Cole and Teddy Sheringham, but they played together for Manchester United and they were as lethal a duo as you could play against.
Yeah.
They were like, they just knew where each other was all the time.
So you don't really need to like each other to perform well on the big stage, but it might have helped.
Well, we'll never know. I mean,
It control from the producer.
It should have helped. Can you imagine it, Danny, years ago with Brazil, Bebeto, Romario, Rivaldo? Now, we never really got on. It's such an opportunity. Are you kidding me?
Do you know what was an interesting thing? And we didn't take the opportunity to do that yesterday because it didn't occur to us. The fellow that was in yesterday, Gilbert, that was talking about the
All Blacks
spirit of it. I wonder if the entire group liked one another. I wonder if they were all friends, if they got on.
Yeah.
And I wonder how important it is in the psyche of a team. You tell us that. Is it important in the psyche of a team that you like the people that you play with on a regular basis?
I don't think so. As long as the majority get on. The irony is there's so much criticism now for seeing players shaking hands in a tunnel or chatting to each other after a game from old pros, saying they're all too friendly. We wouldn't be shaking hands in our day. Wouldn't be chatting to them after we just lost 1-0 for 10 minutes on the pitch.
Yeah,
it's
What did you want exactly?
You've got this. I actually think the animosity towards each other back then was a healthy thing.
Yeah,
because it was respect as well. We respected the United boys because they were so good, and we were trying to be like them. Right. And I think it has gone too far the other way now. You've got players who are rivals at club level who are best mates in England and doing things together, and it's like, hold on. Yeah. And then you see them like shaking, tapping each other on the back to get them up when they have a mistimed tackle in a club match. Well, we've lost a little bit.
If Gerrard is right, if they were egotistical losers, what is the England of today?
I think it's a whole different dynamic now. There is a more...
They've lost the ego, but they still have the loser tag.
I still think they've got ego. Still think most top footballers have got ego. They do seem more together. That was Gareth's biggest thing that he did well.
Yeah.
We could talk about the in-game management, selection.
Togetherness. Bringing
the lads together, giving them an environment where they quite enjoyed going there.
Yeah.
A lot of the England squads I was in over a couple of years, there was always pull-outs and people looking to get out of it because, especially if it was a rubbish game, because it was so tedious and boring.
At international level or at club level, who did you go on with best?
At club level?
Yeah, you. Did you go on with everybody? Or did you regularly play in a team with a guy you didn't like?
Got on generally. I had one little fallout with Jufy for a couple of months.
Juf.
Yeah, but that was over nothing. Really.
Everybody fell out with him, didn't they?
A little bit.
Yeah.
I was with me. I grew
Did
up.
Nicky Barmby bash you up?
No. Nicky's a great lad.
Where'd you get that from?
We nearly had it to do on a pre-season tour once, but that was a misunderstanding. Nick's a great lad.
Right.
I roomed with Stevie for about 5 years, and Cara and Michael were a similar. We were a little group.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's rare that you get two players who are that against each other that it becomes public knowledge.
Okay.
You'll have little spells like a week or two where I've seen a few scraps, but even they get back to,
We're going to take a quick break. Before we do you think Gerrard will go back to Rangers?
I think there's a chance, yeah.
Do you think he should?
No.
Okay, we'll get into more of that in a second. Steven Gerrard still being tipped to head back north and head back to Ibrox Stadium, where it all happened for him at Rangers. Well, on one occasion it happened, they won the league, but Rangers fans haven't forgotten that. They certainly have forgotten about Russell Martin quick style, and they want to go over that experience. With all due respect to Russell, hope to speak to Russell at some stage soon, because it's largely felt some of the abuse he took was way over the top. We'll talk more about Steven Gerrard, we'll talk more about the Rangers job, that and a whole lot more after this. Good morning, everybody. Jim White, Simon Jordan, Danny Murphy, live in talkSPORT with Selco, where the trade goes.
On the Edinburgh bypass has left queues for part of the M8. There seems to be a hold up on the M62 towards Bradford from Brickhouse 25 to junction 26. That's
Good morning, everybody. Jim White, Simon Jordan, Danny Murphy. It is a Wednesday morning, Wednesday, October the 8th. We're live in talkSPORT and we're live in your telly. We are live everywhere. Everybody stops me in the street these days to say they're now watching the show on a regular basis. I'm delighted about that. Whether it's Android, Google TV, Prime Video, whatever you want to do it, you can do it. And we're delighted about that. The interview process well underway now at Rangers. Who's going to take over from Russell Martin? One or two people, Simon, have made the observation to me. Maybe instead of going for a big name, and Gerrard's a big name, would they go back for him? They might do. We'll hear from Gerrard more in a second. Why not stick to what you know? The likes of Stephen Robinson at St Mirren been doing a very good job on very limited funds. But with all due respect to St Mirren fans who wouldn't want to lose Stephen at this stage, might he be more of a good fit at this time for Rangers? What's your take on that kind of thought process, Simon?
Well, I mean, St Mirren, and obviously my friend of mine, Gordon Scott, used to own St Mirren, so I have them in my mind's eye as what sort of club they are.
Yeah.
But with due respect to the scale of St Mirren and Rangers, you're taking a very big punt. I understand why you would be thinking along those lines if you were thinking along those lines, but you're taking somebody that's got a shirt that's moderately light in comparison to one that's very heavy at Rangers, that's got a new ownership model in there that feels like it's the blind leading the deaf. So you're not getting quite the direction that you should be getting on above you.
What, you can rise to the challenge?
Well, I'm not suggesting you couldn't. There's too much risk there for me. That I think that Rangers are not in good nick right now, and you need someone that's got A, the scale of understanding what a big club feels like and looks like, and B, the gravitas and presence to concentrate the mind of these players clearly in a better way than Russell did.
Did Russell? I was about to ask you that. The scale of the required scale of gravitas. Did Russell Martin have that?
Well, I don't know because I don't know
Came
Russell.
from a big job in England.
Well, I don't know Russell. But
I don't know if the pressure of Southampton's anywhere near Rangers.
No, of course
let's give Rangers.
What I do know is you can't keep drawing football matches when you're the Rangers manager. And when I looked at the result after we'd been in Scotland on the weekend, the first thing I did was look at the Rangers result on Saturday and went, or Sunday. How can you draw another game against Falkirk with all due respect?
Yeah. So now all the talk is who's going to take over and might they go for a big name again? Might it be the return of Steven Gerrard? Might it be Sean Dyche? Who's going to fit the office of Rangers manager next? Steven Gerrard, as I said, has been in conversation with Rio Ferdinand, and he reflected on his time in management and on this perceived element of unfinished business.
I've loved it so far. I'd love another goal at some point. I want to change a few things and improve a few things and come back fresh with a few different people around myself. I'd love another couple of challenges doing this. And that's what I'm working on in the background at the moment. A few different ideas, a few different people around me. I know where I'm strong and I know there's areas where I need good support and I need special skill sets to make me better and stronger in terms of my staff and my group. I felt like I had that to a T at Rangers. A lot of coach changes at Aston Villa and over in Saudi that I don't think helped me from a personal point of view. There's a part of me that still feels that there's a bit of unfinished business in terms of wanting to go in and face another couple of exciting challenges, but I want a certain type of challenge. If in an ideal world they come available, I'll jump at them. If they don't, I won't go back in. I want to be at a team that's going to compete to win because I think that suits me better.
Simon, if it wasn't Thelwell and Stewart interviewing Gerrard this morning, and it was you, and judging by what I witnessed on Friday at that lunch in Glasgow, I think they would prefer that, with all due respect to Thelwell and Stewart. What kind of line of questioning would you have with Steven Gerrard sitting in front of you?
Well, I'm not very impressed with him as a football manager. And I would make that clear, that my impression of him was based upon the fact that I didn't think he did a particularly good job at Aston Villa. I think he got found out there at that level. I didn't admire the choice of going to Saudi from a footballing point of view. I understand from the economic point of view, but from a footballing point of view, I don't think that was a commendable route to go at that stage in his career. It was an economically commendable route, but not a football commendable route, and he didn't have particular success there. So I would, in the same way that once upon a time I interviewed Steve Bruce, who I didn't like, and had actually had a relationship with the Huddersfield manager and told him to fire Steve Bruce, because I really didn't like the way Steve Bruce behaved in the dugout against us when I was Palace owner. And ironically, 9 months later, I'm interviewing Steve Bruce and I hit Steve Bruce between the eyes, right between the eyes. I don't like you. Why would I want to complete and utter? I like you in my dugout. And he went through the reasons why and the reaction to the conversation. I think you concentrate people's minds very quickly in a conversation. You don't go into an interview asking for an autograph. I'm not interested in what Steven Gerrard did playing for Liverpool. I'm interested in what Steven Gerrard can do with the problem that I've got, and the reasons why I have reservations that it isn't a shoo-in, it's not a gimme. We have a conversation. You might not fancy working for me, and I might not fancy you working for me. So we'll have this conversation in a very blunt format, which is, how are you going to fix my problems? What are you going to do to get me out of the problem that I'm in? What is your vision of how it should be done? Are you going to do the same thing as you did last time, which is basically come along, and when a Premiership job comes along, you're going to jump ship when it suits you best? All of these sort of things. But I'd want to get right into the understanding of the fellow rather than the media perception of him, and also the reasons why he wasn't successful at Aston Villa, the reasons why he took the Saudi job, and ultimately getting to the bottom of that, and what problems he'd fix for me.
You've said to me in the past, you're not impressed by those behind the scenes at Rangers, the so-called hierarchy at this time. Would you be confident that they're up to the job here to appoint the right man?
Well, that's not really for me to say, but if you look at from the outside in looking in, no, I don't think. I think you've got. I think the sporting director isn't good enough. I think if you look through the industry, and people are very quick. There's two commodities in football that reverberate. One is gossip, and the other is money. Right? So they're very prevalent commodities. And I think there's a lot of people that have a similar opinion of me. To me, of this particular sporting director. At the same time, I'm not looking to victimise him. I'm just saying, you ask him a question, I'm giving you an answer. The idea, I think Ed Woodward was a brilliant commercial animal at Manchester United. I think he was clueless when it came to the business of sport and football. And I think you've got to have both, or step aside and let someone else that really... I don't like the expression of football people. I don't like the expression of football men. I like the expression of people that know why they're appointing someone and can see why they shouldn't or see why they should, rather than be impressed by the person that's in front of them, rather than being sold a pup. I made a lot of mistakes when I owned Palace. Probably got 50% of my managerial choices right and 50% of them wrong. Right? But the one thing that you do know is you know what you see in front of you, and you know someone that's a bluffer, you know someone that is full of BS, and you know someone that's really not going to do the job that you think they can do. Or you think, that you want them to do.
I don't think there's an element of BS at any time of the day in Steven Gerrard, is there? You know him better than most, Danny.
No, he speaks there in that interview with Rio like he's still got desires to manage, and he must have learnt a lot from his time at Villa, especially. I don't know about Saudi necessarily, but you've got to be stupid not to learn managing clubs of that side. And sometimes you learn more when you fail. So I think he will come back in. That's
a good point.
I'm a bit low. Well, not low is the wrong word. I'm reluctant to say I think he should, because I think that's a hell of a difficult job at the moment, Ray. It's like, even though Celtic are a little bit behind where they'd want to be in terms of form, or they're still win games, they're still sitting pretty.
It should be difficult, and and if you've got the gumption and you're a winner, you should want the challenge.
But I was going to
the challenge comes with all the upsides.
And maybe he will.
If you're good,
maybe he will. But I think it's an impossible task at the minute. That's a long project.
It's not, because I think
impossible.
No, the Rangers fans will be. Yeah.
It's like trying to catch a motorbike on a bike.
If you're in a desert and people can convince you that you can drink sand, it'll make you feel better. They're in a desert right now. At Rangers, they think that everything's falling apart. They think that their team is dreadful. They think that Russell Martin was a clown. They think the ownership model doesn't know what it's doing. So if Gerrard comes back over the horizon like some mirage, they'll think he's the saviour, because once upon a time he delivered them something. So he'll get some latitude. And of course, in the first 5 or 6 games, it'll be because he's having to to detoxify the environment that Russell Martin created. So in that first 5 or 6 games, Gerrard will have an opportunity to make mistakes or not win games. The interesting thing for me that Rio Ferdinand could and should have asked, and I would have asked, and probably you would have asked, is it's all well and good you telling us that you want to go back into a side that's going to win, right? First of all, you ain't a winning manager, so don't assume that you're going to get that many jobs that come along the line with the teams that can compete. What level are you prepared to go in at? Would you go in at a championship club? Would you go in at a League One club? Because that's where your credentials are right now.
Exactly. Time will tell. The interview process now well underway. Maybe Gerrard's in front of them right now. Who knows? But when we know, you'll know. It's Jim White, Simon Jordan, Danny Murphy at 10:30 live in talkSPORT.
Shin pads are a footballer's best friend. Even if players like Jack Grealish do wear such small ones you can barely even see them. But what's the story with shin pads, and are there actually any rules on how big they should be? It all started with cricket, actually. Cricketers had been wearing shin pads since the 1700s. It was thanks to this guy that shin protection made its way over to football. Meet Samuel Widdowson. He was a cricketer and a footballer. He played for Nottingham Forest back in the late 1800s, and he wanted a way to protect his legs from nasty tackles. Naturally, his mind drifted to his other favourite sport, where players had been wearing these pads for a century. Story goes, Widdowson cut up his cricket pads and popped them on before taking to the footy pitch. His Nottingham Forest team then began wearing them from 1887, and the first known use of them in a match was in 1894, in a match between Newcastle and the then Woolwich Arsenal. Eventually, FIFA clocked on that this kind of protection was pretty important for footballers. And so, in 1990, basically 100 years after Widdowson first put them on, shin pads were made compulsory. It became part of Law 4 of IFAB. That's the body responsible for setting the laws of the game internationally. But the law doesn't actually specify anything about measurements of shin pads. It just says they must be made of a suitable material and be of an appropriate size to provide reasonable protection. It's really vague, even though there have been calls for it to be changed. But for now, that's why Grealish and co can still get away with these ones, which are no bigger than a credit card and which seem to offer little to no protection whatsoever.
Dan's a Queen's Park Rangers fan. Good morning to you, Dan. It's interesting, says Dan, that Steven Gerrard said he was part of a group of egotistical losers at England, but still sees himself as a manager worthy of such a big job as Rangers. Take a leaf out of Frank Lampard's book and realise that you're not a top-level manager. Go for a lower-level club, then prove your worth, then go forward. Don't believe your own height. I don't know, Simon. What do you make of that?
Well, that's kind of what I just said, didn't I?
Yeah.
I mean, of course you've got to believe in yourself, because if you don't believe in yourself, who's going to believe in you? And Steven Gerrard should have tickets on himself, because he has achieved a lot in his footballing career. A lot of people admire him. So if he doesn't believe in himself, then no one else is going to. But there is also a realistic position. If I were an owner of a Premier League football club, there's no parallel universe where Steven Gerrard would be on my shortlist.
No, I think as well, he would. I've got no doubts that he would take a Championship job with a decent enough club if he thought, you know.
Well, the interesting thing was that there was that rumour going around that there was a series of Championship jobs that were available to him to potentially be considered for, and he ran off to Saudi.
I don't know. News coming into me here this morning. Watford today will sack Paolo Pezzolano. He's another one on a very long list who will have come and gone. Javi Gracia set to be the man to replace him. Sources have told talkSPORT that Pezzolano has, quotes, fallen out with just about every player at the football club. So we'll see what comes about with that. Javi Gracia said to be the man who will take over from the outgoing Pezzolano at some time today. I want to get to this. R360. R360, what is it? It's in the world of rugby. R360's vision, the whole thought process here, is to sign up the best rugby union and rugby league players in the world for a Grand Prix style competition that would feature 8 men's franchises and 4 women's teams. R360 intends to launch next October and has said that the top 40 players in the world would be paid in excess of £1 million a year for a maximum of 17 games a season. So this is a breakaway group that promises to throw around quite a bit of money. Before we are joined by talkSPORT's rugby commentator Andrew McKenna, let's hear from one of the driving forces of it, Mike Tindall, who spoke about it just last month.
Our vision hasn't changed since day one, to change the game for you, for the fans, and for the good of the game. We want to help grow the sport we love by creating the most exciting version ever. One that connects with a whole new generation of fans by taking the best of sport and entertainment to create something truly, truly special. We're excited about the progress we've made, and I'm very, very pleased to say we are on plan. And in certain areas, we are ahead of plan. But the shorthand is that we are very much game on for season 26.
So that was Mike Tindall last month, but Mike may have hit a block in the road, because just last night, the unions of England, France, Scotland, Ireland, New Zealand, South Africa and Australia and Italy have announced that any players who sign up for this breakaway group, R360, will now be blocked from representing their countries. You can forget playing for your country if you go to R360. Andrew McKenna, good morning. That's tough talking from the unions, right?
Yeah, absolutely. They're trying to keep control of this situation. They want their players playing for them when they want. And so, to be honest, we kind of expected this. This isn't a surprise.
Did Mike Tindall expect it?
He probably did, in a way. Now, because what R360 have said throughout this process is, we do not want to block any player from playing international rugby. We are organising our dates for the rounds of our competitions so they do not clash with international rugby, and therefore you will still be able to go back and play. However, the key point is World Rugby and the individual unions have to sanction any tournament, and R360 have not yet applied to World Rugby to do that. So you just heard Mike Tindall in that video clip. That was a clip that was sent around to all the potential players. That wasn't put out publicly. That was sent to the potential players to tell them where this process is. So time-wise, it looks very, very difficult to actually get this back on track for next year, because the significant committee that would make this judgment, I'm led to believe, only meets 2 or 3 times a year. So they're up against it time-wise.
I mean, the rugby bosses, they've said it in a nice way, Simon, but they mean what they say. Each of the national unions will therefore be advising men's and women's players that participation in R360 will make them ineligible for international selection. You can forget playing for your countries.
It'll be interesting to see if that's actually enforceable, how enforceable that is, because we see these positions being taken by federations and governing bodies when their monopoly is being challenged and their governance is being questioned. Because ultimately, in the world of anything, competition is a good thing, and rugby players should want to benefit from the opportunities, certainly the elite ones. And if there is some sort of trade-off where there's some drip-down economic effect that benefits other aspects of the domestic rugby game, then that should all be priced into the equation. But it'll be interesting to see, in the same way that you've got the challenges that happened with the UEFA around this Super League, and then it was overturned. UEFA's monopoly was overturned in court. It's interesting to see who the funders are behind R360, because it's a mixed bag of funders, from American to Swiss to Saudi money in there. So all of this, these are not silly people, or you would like to think they're not silly people. So this will be baked into their thinking that there's going to be some resistance, because the monopoly of thinking and the structures that have been in place for a very long time will not like their orthodoxy being challenged. They will paint a picture that somehow this is disadvantageous to the sport, rather because it's disadvantageous to them personally, disadvantageous to their fiefdoms that they've been able to sit in for years and be able to have their own committees and their own judgment calls and their own way of running the game. Every sport, and I think Andrew can jump in and tell me if he thinks I'm wrong, every sport needs an opportunity to evolve and to turn itself into a more consumer, fan-facing perspective, available for the next generation of broadcasting opportunities and, of course, fan demand.
You see, I think, Andrew, Simon's onto something here in terms of its perceived enforceability. It makes me think of Live Golf. You join Live Golf, the Saudi Golf, you can forget playing for the Ryder Cup. John Ram played pretty well last week, didn't he?
Bryson.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's a great point. There is saber rattling in this, absolutely no doubt. Simon's point about the downside of it. I guess what the national unions would say is we are all non-profit organisations. All the money that we get through the international game is then fed down and dripped through to your local club side. Now, if let's take England for example. If Maro Itoje, George Ford, Owen Farrell, Jamie George are all going and playing in this tournament, well, we've not got them in the English game, and therefore that's not driving the money forward. So that will be part of the thinking in all of this. I get the feeling that we could be in a kind of Kerry Packer moment here for those of a certain age, in the fact there's a guy coming in wanting to rattle some tins, say, we can do this better, we can do that, we can do that. And the chances are we'll probably end up with what we've got at the moment, but as Simon said, with a better financial approach to things. So I'm not sure R360 will happen, but I think R360 will have an impact on the world game, because what they're saying is players are playing too many games. They're not being rewarded well enough from it. And there is an element, of course, that when you're putting through your body through what rugby players do, careers are getting shorter all the time.
Yeah.
People are getting very serious injuries. They do need to be better recompensed. So things like that will come through.
Yeah,
but
of course.
I think it might be a Kerry Packer one that actually we end up back where we started.
But I mean, Andrew, unlike yourself, with all due respect, me, Simon, we have someone in our midst who played sport at a high level, and he is Danny Murphy. Danny, here's the thing. If you're a rugby player of reasonable standing, somebody comes along and says, you know, if you join this R360, £1 million a year, do you fancy it? So what do you do? You can't play for your country, but you've got a big bag of money.
Well, I think it depends on your individual circumstances, but I think my feeling on this one is if it did go through, a lot of the players would go because of the reasons Andrew said, in terms of, you know, the money being a factor and the fact that they don't have to play as many games to earn that money. It's a difficult sport, rugby, physically. Take it while it's there. And the reality is the international sides will be cutting the nose off to spite their face, because if they have 4 of their best players not there and they say you can't play, that the attraction to go and watch England, if their 5 best players aren't there, isn't there. So there'll be a compromise anyway. So in answer to your question, I'd do it.
But
you would do it?
Yeah. But interestingly, we've already seen a position where Welsh rugby players have gone to play for the best clubs in domestic sport in other parts of the world and have been excluded for playing for their country, play international rugby. He is an elite rugby player, so he's talking about a game that he knows well. He may be moving into an administrative point of view.
Yeah.
So he's looking at it from the point of view as a player and a commercial operation. So he can speak to what Danny's just spoken to, which is, would I do what I'm asking others to do when I was playing?
Yeah.
You with me?
Yeah, I'm with you. Of course I am. Andrew, to round this off, it's not dead then yet, R360. Do you think it will survive and it will come through and come into existence, maybe not in this form, but in some shape or form?
I'm not sure. As Simon has said, the people that we're talking about putting money into this are serious players with an awful lot of money. And the very concept of buying a franchise, of putting 8 men's teams, 4 women's teams around the world, you know, this is what they're looking at. They want the Cape Town Krugerrands against the Dallas Dollars or whatever it's going to be, so they can sell TV rights and sell franchises for huge amounts of money. Now, there's going to be a draw for that. Absolutely, there's going to be a draw for that. I'm just not sure they're going to get the level of cooperation from World Rugby that they need on the playing side. Danny's right. Players towards the end of their career who are thinking, I might have 1 or only 2 years left in me. I'm not going to play international rugby anymore. Doesn't make a difference to me. They might well jump. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how many of those do.
Andrew, you might have a decision to make if R360 come for a top commentator.
Well, I'll tell you what he'll be doing.
Yeah.
He'll be jumping.
Give me time to think. Gone. Andrew, thank you very much indeed. R360, still around, not dead yet. We'll hear from Tyndall, no doubt, in the coming days on that. Stay with us. We're live in talkSPORT. It's Jim White, Simon Jordan and Danny Murphy. We are live on talkSPORT. Just to explain, when we ever go into a commercial break, it becomes a little coffee morning chat with Simon and Danny. They go into a little huddle and they make sure that I can't hear what they're talking about. But I know what they're talking about. Don't worry about that. Not that I'm getting paranoid. Paranoid. What? Not at all. Yes, we are live in talkSPORT. We're also live in your telly. Danny, let's talk England. No Jude Bellingham this time around. Before we go into this, and maybe some of the media's perceived reasoning as to why he's not there, why do you think he's not there at the moment?
I think it's as simple as game time. He'd only just got, I think he don't even know if he made a start. I think he maybe started one game coming back from that injury, shoulder operation. So Tuchel's...
He played 70 minutes against Atletico Madrid.
So Tuchel's gone with the same squad. I mean, they're playing Wales in a friendly and Latvia. Who we could probably play in that game and win with us three at the back.
Indeed.
So he kept the same squad and just let Jude carry on with his rehab and his training and getting fit. He said he had a conversation with him. I actually liked what Jordan Henderson said. I saw him put to bed some of the stuff.
Well, that's a good point. We're going to get onto that with what Jordan said. But there's been this background noise that Tuchel had said previously that his mum, Tuchel's mum, found some of Jude's behaviour, quote, repulsive, for which he apologised. Tuchel had to apologise for that. So there's this little backstory in the background that rumbles, and Jordan jumped on that. And you're right. Jordan Henderson has claimed that those criticising Bellingham and his demeanour in the past are quotes, making things up. And Jordan says, the players know what Jude is like as a person and as a player. He's a world-class player and a world-class person. And he makes the England team, whenever he plays, even better because of the type of player he is. The perception outside, well, they don't know. They're guessing. They make things up ultimately. From the outside, you can never listen to noise or media or things like that because a lot of the time it can be untrue or misinterpreted. Is this a case of exactly that?
Mounting out of a molehill, the Bellingham issue. You know, what you look at with this over a period of time, his England career, he's more than regularly the best player. I mean, he's a phenomenal talent. Look, let me simplify it. Him not being in the England team in the World Cup gives them a lesser chance of winning it. Him being in it gives them a better chance, that's for sure. So even if he was a little bit moody or contentious off the pitch, who cares? He isn't anyway, by all accounts. He's very well liked. And I think the way he conducts himself on the pitch and the passion and responsibility and courage that he shows is exactly what you need at international level in big tournaments. He stands up. Tuchel will have him back in the squad, absolutely, 1,000,000%.
Do you think Jude cares how he's perceived? Did you?
Not really. No, I don't think he cares. I don't think I did, to be honest.
I'm not even going to ask you.
I wasn't aware. I don't think you can be. I don't think when we were younger we were aware of perception as much because of the lack of social media.
Yeah.
You know, you can be on social media now and get an indication of how people see you, but Bellingham plays like he doesn't care.
They all care what you think of them. It's critical. They don't care if you praise them. They take that as an well, it's interesting because you had an interaction with him in Germany where the reaction was...
Well, I met him previous, and I know Jude to an extent, and he was none too happy in Germany about how he felt the media weren't behind England. in Germany.
But that's not him personally, is it?
That's not him personally, but you know, like
his
sections of the media went
reaction.
back in England.
And there was, I mean, obviously, again, this is disappearing into the territory of rumour and conjecture. But there was observations being made about who would do press conferences and who wouldn't do press conferences, and slight discontent in the squad that Jude Bellingham didn't do press conferences because he didn't think he had to. So whether that's true or not, there's also a narrative building up around Jude, which I don't know where it's coming from, which is about his behaviour on the field. And we saw some attitudinal issues in Madrid where there was a debate about how he'd spoken to a linesman.
Yeah, he got banned from
and things of those nature. I mean, Tuchel's fueled this to some extent by the poor language that he used in conjunction with it. But I don't think there's. I think we've got to celebrate our heroes better. We've got to stop pulling them down because Jude Bellingham is a world-class footballer. Yes, I like to make people accountable. And I like to make people build character and have resilience so that when the adversity comes, that they don't just sit there whining about what they haven't got, right? But we've got to celebrate our best players. Other countries build people up.
What, in a cheerleading way?
No, in a balanced, fair way. Not a feast and not a famine. Don't turn them into global superstars overnight. And then don't turn them into zeros in the next breath that they all of a sudden they're all falling apart. They're terrible people.
But you're the man that's been calling the international team losers on occasions.
I'm responding.
That doesn't sound like talking them up to me.
I responded to the observation in context of what Stephen Gerrard said was we're egotistical losers. I wouldn't want to use that terminology in conjunction with myself or my nation. I don't think it's very good language. I don't know what Stephen Gerrard wants to. I don't know why you're doing that mea culpa moment. But insofar as I was commenting on it, I'd say, well, it's because we haven't won.
Yeah,
so by definition, you are losers.
You battered England under Southgate.
No, I battered Gareth Southgate. In fact, I didn't even batter Gareth Southgate. I said that the things that he'd done are very well. He'd done well, but you've got to win something. And you cannot keep snatching defeat from the jaws of victory.
So
I think that's a fair comment.
When's the last time you talked up any England player?
I spend my life talking up the nation. That's why you sit here.
Am I in the right studio this morning?
Constantly going, you're too nationalistic, you're too much of an Englishman. You go up to Scotland, you try and announce me to how dare you come up here with the things that you said. I saw what you did in front of your little Scottish fan base. But the fact of the matter is, I call situations fairly and equitably.
Yeah.
If someone's a fool, I call them a fool. If someone's very good, I call them good.
Yeah.
I don't like entitlement.
We've always been a nation that, our brilliant heroes, we've wanted to find the problem.
But we also like losers. We love the spirit loser. We loved Frank Bruno until he won.
But many people talked affectionately, warmly about Gareth Southgate.
Who did?
You called him a loser.
I didn't. I called him ultimately not a winner. I never called him either of those things. What I said was, you have to win, and if you don't win, then by definition it makes you a loser. By definition,
you called him four-leaf clover boy, a lucky general.
Absolutely. And do you know what the old expression? Would you rather have good generals or lucky generals? The dynamic is most people say have a lucky general. So there's a compliment in there.
Just going back to the original point quickly, Jim. We should be thanking our lucky.
You've got a nerve.
We should be thanking our lucky stars. We've got Jude Bellingham.
Yes,
he is phenomenal.
You should.
And we should embrace him and all that comes with him. Because that passion and that naughty side that he's got is what keeps him on the edge. And if he stays there, we've got a chance.
It's an envy. There's something in our culture.
It's jealousy.
Is there something in our culture that wants to pull people down?
Jealousy.
Wants to put him down. All of a sudden, Jude Bellingham is doing just a little bit too well. It'll be Cole Palmer next. Just doing a little bit too well. Cole Palmer's trademarked his name. That's a little bit of a liberty. Who do you think he is? Start pulling people down.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's a good way to be in this country.
We'll get to that. During the next commercial break, Simon will be penning Ode to Jude. No doubt, and I look forward to reciting it the other side of 11 o'clock. It's happening at Watford. This fella is on the brink of departing. He's been on the brink of departing for a few days now. The Paolo Pezzolano is almost out the exit door.
Him out.
Once Javi Gracia is in there, I'm informed it will be a 2-year deal for him.
Oh, yeah?
That door shuts and that one opens. It's like a Brian Ricks farce, isn't it? It's 11 o'clock this Wednesday morning. Jim White, Simon Jordan, and I'm pretty sure it is, and Danny Murphy live on talkSPORT with Selco, where the trade goes.
Kellaby, good morning. Rio Ferdinand's told talkSPORT to expect Steven Gerrard back in management very soon.
I've never had so many Rangers fans flood the comments of my social media or the podcast. They're all desperate for him to go up and at least have the conversation in the meetings.
We understand Gerrard's the favourite to take over from the sacked Russell Martin if he wants to return to Ibrox. Meanwhile, after Gerrard called England's so-called golden generation disconnected and egotistical losers, Ali McCoy's told Alan Brazil on Breakfast, the Scotland camp's never had these problems.
With Rangers and Celtic players, I've got to say to you, Alan, there was never, ever a split. Our boys always got on well, always sat at the dinner table together.
Now, we're expecting Watford to confirm Paolo Pezzolano's sacking today. We've been told he's fallen out with just about every player. Javi Gracia is set to return to Watford to replace Pezzolano. Former Spurs and Man United left-back Sergio Reguilon is joining into Miami as a free agent. Reguilon's deal runs to the end of 2028. Now, remember Harry Maguire getting arrested in Greece 5 years ago? Well, his legal team's back in court today out in Syros for a retrial. Maguire has always denied assaulting and attempting to bribe a police officer. And could this be Glenn McGrath and 2005 all over again? Reports in Australia suggest Aussie captain and fast bowler Pat Cummins is set to miss the first Ashes test and possibly the whole series. As scans reveal Cummins' back problem has improved but not yet healed. There's loads more Ashes build up on the talkSPORT Cricket YouTube channel.
talkSPORT News.
Lenny Henry says Black Britons should be paid reparations for slavery, and the government's prepared to pay a lot more for drugs if it means pharma companies staying in the UK. Cara has more at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. With a huge range of premium brands available, we've got what you need to drive away happy every time. Visit your local centre or quickfit.com and book today.
Dry with sunny spells for most. In the south, patchy rain hanging around till the early afternoon. Showers in the north and west. Temperatures near average.
Good morning, everybody. It is Wednesday, October the 8th. It's Jim White, Simon Jordan, and it's Danny Murphy, and we are live on talkSPORT. I wonder if Monsieur Emmanuel Petit is listening over in Paris. He joined us on Monday, and he said, yeah, maybe this time, Arsenal. This could be it. Premier League title. Wonder what Danny's got to say about that, because at the moment, Liverpool have been teetering a bit, have they not, in the last few days? And there's been talk of Mo Salah. Where is Mo Salah in all of this? We'll get to that. In the meantime, we're going to stick to this. We all know that Barry and Eddie, the Herns, they've done incredible business. And Simon, you're the first to admit it, because Matchroom is an incredible organisation. But now, in the world of darts, and that's very much the Herns' territory, they're taking darts to Saudi Arabia. The PDC has announced it will stage its first competition in Saudi Arabia on the 19th and 20th of January next year. It will be part of the World Series of Darts, but unlike other events around the world, there will, of course, be no alcohol on sale. So how's that going to look? Darts and everything else that goes with it, this time in Saudi Arabia, and no booze. I asked Barry Hearn this morning, how did that come about?
Saudi Arabia is doing so many different sports, so many big shows, in an effort to boost their tourism and get them more awareness for the kingdom. And it was natural that something like darts, which has become one of the biggest sports in the world, but certainly one of the biggest in Europe, it's natural that they would want to be part of that. And of course, they will bring their own innovation. His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh has done so much for boxing out there and also has done some snooker. It was only a matter of time before he got his creative head round it, and we'll have to wait and see what the final event looks like. But it's certainly a unique one, isn't it? No alcohol at darts.
Exactly. I'm going to get to that. Is there an appetite for darts in Saudi Arabia?
I don't honestly know. I mean, we're in the business of going all around the world, wherever the best deals are. The players are professionals, so they obviously want to earn money. There's going to be expats there. We do a very, very successful event which sells out in Bahrain in January anyway. So Bahrain will be the first stop, and then Saudi will be the second on the Middle East swing, if you want to call it that. And we'll find out. I think, like most things, most people are educated by television and by social media. I think there'll be a curiosity value, and there'll be expats out there that know what they've got. But as I say, it will be different, certainly different.
The big difference is no booze, no alcohol. Can darts work without the alcohol?
I don't know. I sound as if I don't know very many answers, Jim, so apologies for that. But the answer is, well, we've never tried darts without alcohol, so we've no idea. I don't see any reason why it doesn't, but clearly, will it be the same festive party atmosphere? Probably not. But let's try it and see. You know, the players understand that that is a local region rule, and it can't be broken. There's no smuggling stuff in or, you know, around corners. That's the law, and you will get arrested and potentially imprisoned if you break the law in any country. So we have to adhere to what their terms and conditions are. They will reward us for it. They are supporting our sport, so they deserve our support as well. But atmosphere-wise, you'll have to ask me the day after it's finished.
I mean, it's intriguing, Barry, when you think of it, isn't it? It's like a pub that sells no booze. The darts without alcohol, I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either. But, you know, I welcome the chance to experiment with these things, because until we do, we won't know. It's interesting, whereas in the old days, Jim, when you and I were young, darts players always drunk, didn't they? I mean, sometimes too much, to be honest, coming out of a pub background. Most of the younger players today that are on the circuit that are coming through don't drink at all. So there is this movement away from alcohol by the players, but of course the fans enjoy the party, and we don't want to lose that. So this is going to be a very interesting experiment. We could fall flat on our face, or we could say we've adapted to the circumstances, and the sport is still good enough to entertain and create an atmosphere without alcohol. Time will tell.
Time will tell. Barry Hearn with me earlier on. Simon and Danny are beside me. So can it work? I mean, it's going to be a whole different atmosphere, is it not, Simon?
Well, if anyone can make it work, it's Barry Hearn, isn't it? In terms of the level that he's brought every single sport that he's been involved in, whether it's boxing, whether it's snooker, whether it's darts. We know the value of darts. We know that some significant people have bought a significant position in Matchroom, primarily because of the opportunity that darts presents.
Qataris.
Pitch side and their investment, which is in the hundreds of millions into Matchroom, which is where Barry gets his £1 billion valuation from, based upon the criteria that they've bought in at. So we know there's an appetite for it. Whether it will sit in the... I think it's a zero-sum game in terms of losing or winning in this situation, because if the Saudis want to do something with it, why not? You give it an opportunity. We're seeing these dart players, as Barry alluded to. I mean, obviously, there's a point where Luke Little wasn't old enough to drink. Then you've got people like Gerwyn Price that are fitter and much more dynamic. Luke Humphries has spent the last year losing weight, so he doesn't really want to booze himself to Palookaville, does he? There's a new breed of dart player, quite absolutely right. But darts is a very, very hot property. And whilst it might not traditionally land in Saudi the way that we think it has done previously in other parts of the world... I wouldn't be surprised if it's... I wouldn't be surprised, because there is a community in Saudi Arabia, which is the reasons why the Saudis are spending so much money on sport, which is that the under-30s make up nearly 70% of the population of that particular part of the world. There's a move away from fossil fuels, and they want to generate new things in their country. And I would imagine that the younger generation might quite like darts.
Yeah, but hang on. We're going to compare it almost inevitably to the scenes at Ali Pali. I mean, I am not, sober as a judge, going to dress up as a snow leopard. I might have done with a right few drinks in me.
I think the product will suffer in terms of the crowd interaction, the singing, the euphoria that darts creates for the audience. The darts will still be of a really high level, because as we were talking about there, the players aren't drinking on stage. They'll play to a high level. The facilities will be phenomenal.
But aren't we just in danger of comparing that to the once of the year that most people watch darts?
No, darts all around the year is...
I know it is, but by the same
the Premier League of darts.
By the same token, I
go for it.
I get that, but what I'm saying is why do you think that the audience in Saudi as different as it may be,
well,
might not enjoy it. If you've got full auditoriums in Saudi, where's your issue here then?
Because it won't be the same. It's not. It doesn't mean it won't generate the same money if the bums are on seats, but the atmosphere will be like the boxing.
Yeah.
You watch a boxing show in Saudi, it's nothing like watching one here. You can hear everything. It's flat.
Very different.
I mean, the boxing is great because they're putting fights together, but the shows I've watched in Saudi, you don't hear any atmosphere. It's like a library.
And here, the darts audience is rowdy.
It is.
It's fun.
And we're not allowed to say that.
You know, it's basically, can the sport stand out in its own? Can darts stand out in its own?
Well, that's the big question.
Without that boozed-up atmosphere.
I grew up watching darts. Like a kid, watching Eric Bristow, watching John Lowe, watching Cliff Lazarenko, watching Leighton Rees, all these players that were beasts. Yeah. And I watched darts because I loved the game. I didn't watch it for the atmosphere. I watched it because I loved the game.
Yeah, but come on, Simon, you were intrigued at the same time holding a pint with a fag in it.
No,
but if what you're saying, if you're sitting around watching telly, you'd still watch it because you want to see the best darts players.
Correct.
But I'm talking about the longevity of the crowd in Saudi being regular, go back and watch again and create more darts and more competitions. There's not going to be a desire for it.
Well, let's answer the question, because you're talking about atmosphere being a driving factor for it. Okay, you get the best darts players in the world. If there is a seeded belief that the younger generation in Saudi will quite like darts, the atmosphere is our problem. We like a better atmosphere. They don't, right? So they're not bothered about it. So we go to the best boxers in the world, go there. There's no atmosphere according to you, right?
Oh, you've said that as well.
I've said it in the past that the atmosphere is not as good as it is in an English ring, but it's getting better each time they put a fight on. But the fact of the matter is the audience there. So why wouldn't there be an audience there, just in a different way? We might not like it, but their audience
different.
Might like it.
I mean, let's put it out there then. To those who go to Ali Pali on a regular basis, because you love the atmosphere, you love the fact you can have a few drinks, get dressed up and go for it.
Stand on the chairs, get on the tables when there's a 180.
It's a 180.
Can you imagine a 9-darter?
How are you going to celebrate that
in
sober as a judge? Well, can you? And would you still go to Ali Pali if there was no alcohol available on the night? Give us a call on that one. 03717 223344. One thing that's different about the darts, though, and this is quite refreshing, when Live Golf was on the way, some of the golfers who joined it, it's all about trying to spread the word of golf to another country, and that country is Saudi Arabia. It doesn't really matter about the big bag of money. Luke Humphreys, on darts heading to Saudi, was at least honest about it.
Honestly, I couldn't care, to be honest. Whatever he wants to do is great, as long as he pays as much as he does for the snooker and the boxing. I don't care. You know, obviously this is my job. I know a lot of people obviously think that it's not the greatest thing, but I think it's good. I'm happy to play in it, but you know, we're trying to grow the sport around the world, and you know, Saudi Arabia seems to be this new hotspot. Boxing have taken for it, snooker's taken for it, darts obviously now. So yeah, you know, I don't really have too much input about it all, to be honest. I'm just, if I'm picked, I'm there, you know, wherever it is, if it's there, if it's Japan, if it's South Africa, if it's Australia, I go, you know, so I don't really have much input, to be honest, but we can only but see what happens in January. If it's a good success, then it's great. If it's not a success, then who knows, but yeah, I'm just going to turn up, be there, and hopefully there's £1 million for the winner.
Show me the money.
He's making no bones about it.
My job is I'm a professional sportsman, not a professional flag waver. That's what I do. I play sport. I don't ask to be in the political arena. I don't ask to light upon causes that I then can't follow up, as we've seen with people like his mate, Jordan Henderson. They can't stand the pulse of time when it comes to actually putting themselves in the way of it and having some actual consequences for it. So the reality of it is I'd like to hear that. Get on with playing sport. That's what you're there for.
Do you know when you watch the boxing in Saudi, for example?
Yes, Danny.
I've never seen so many people not looking at the boxing, on their phones, chatting and stuff. Honestly,
why are you focusing on them?
Because that's what we're comparing it to, because Saudi audiences is what we're talking about.
Well, it's a fair point, Danny. We're trying to get this image in our mind of what would darts look like from an arena in Saudi Arabia where there is no alcohol on sale.
Let's ask people, because one of the things when you watch the darts, and I know this doesn't make ticket sales when you're watching it on the telly, but when there's a $9 or a 180 and the crowd go berserk, you join in with that as a viewer.
Yeah, but what we're saying is we're in danger of superimposing what we think works in this country, which we know works, but that's not the audience in Saudi.
So you think they'll have a?
Well, the question is, do they want darts, and how will they watch it? And if the answer is they like it and they're quite happy to watch it in reverence, and all they hear is thud, 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 and that's happy for them, then what difference does it make to us? We have our brand of darts where we have a raucous crowd with a certain Western attitude, and they have a different set of sports.
The question is, does it create longevity of darts in Saudi by having that?
Well, who cares? They go over there and do a few tournaments, make a few quid, and come back again. Nothing ventured, nothing lost.
I think the question is this: imagine it here. The alley pally with no booze.
We don't have
would
to,
darts
do we?
work? Would darts work? But would you still go? That's the bottom line.
Well, they're not going to go to.
See, this Christmas and New Year, the World Championship at the alley pally, there'll be no booze on sale. Nonetheless, would you still go and dress up?
But they're not going to fly over to
Shut
Saudi,
up, you.
are they?
03717 22 33 44 81089. my goodness me. What a reaction we're getting to this. We're talking about the darts. The PDC has announced that it's going to stage its first competition in Saudi Arabia on the 19th and 20th of January next year. It's going to be part of the World Series of Darts, but unlike other events around the world, there'll be no booze on sale. And we've seen what the darts has been like when the guys go travelling. We've seen them over in Netherlands. We've seen them in Belgium, where they like to drink a beer or two. And we've certainly seen it at the Ali Pali. And the atmosphere is incredible. I mean, it is incredible. It's fun, it's rowdy, it's raucous, it's noisy. So no booze in Saudi. Can darts possibly work? Barry Hearn was at least honest enough to say to me a short time ago, he has absolutely no idea. But what do you think? 03717 223344 81089. Do you think it can possibly work out there when, sad to say, no booze, no atmosphere? What do you honestly think? Many people getting in touch. Not a chance, says Lenny. That's why I tune in all the time to the Ali Pali. He says, I love it. I love the atmosphere and I love looking at the costumes and certain people who are close to being out their heads. Well, that will not be happening in Saudi Arabia, Lenny. I can assure you of that. Many of you giving us a call. Steve is a Leicester City fan. He's also no doubt a fan of the darts. Steve, could it possibly work, the darts, in Saudi Arabia?
Not a chance, I don't think. I go to the darts quite a lot. I've sat in the dear seats, I've sat in the cheap seats, and the thing is, you can't see the dartboard, so you go for the atmosphere. And to create that atmosphere, people drink, people dress up. It's amazing, but I just can't see it working without alcohol and people creating the atmosphere that way.
So you actually
don't actually go for the darts.
Exactly. I was just going to ask you that. You're conceding to us that you actually don't go to watch the darts. You go just to soak up the atmosphere.
You do go to watch the darts. I've sat in the deer seats at some of the major events to be able to see the dartboard. But when you can't get them tickets because it gets snapped up so quick, you just get a seat wherever you can and you go for the atmosphere. Yes, they've got the big screens there, but you may as well watch it on TV. You get the best view on TV. You go for the atmosphere.
Steve, thanks for that. There's Jonathan Marsden. Guys, sport is only good because of atmosphere. It's like everything else. Do you remember COVID football? It was terrible because there was no atmosphere. Darts with no crowd or nobody really enjoying it and soaking up the atmosphere, it won't work because sport in Saudi so far has shown that there's very little atmosphere.
Well, it depends on your definition of how it works. Simon's point's fair because if you're talking about the audience over here in Europe watching it on telly without the atmosphere, I don't see that working. But if Saudis aren't bothered about that and they're talking about just filling it bums on seats with their own people to give them a show of darts that's different to ours, then that might work.
Yeah. Maybe in Saudi Arabia they'll actually appreciate the darts more.
I mean, it's a good point that the caller makes about when you go to boxing fights, and sometimes I've been at boxing arenas when you see them right up in the gods and they cannot see the ring.
Yeah.
So they're there for something different. They're there for the whole ambience. So by the metrics that we are measuring it by, what we define as success, it's very unlikely it'll translate to Saudi in that respect. But given the culture of that country and the measurement that they may put on it, who are we to define what they define as success for them in terms of their funding of this particular competition, this particular leg of it, and what the dart players may get paid? They may well define it as a roaring success, and we sit there going, well, this can't be successful, this can't be any good. By their standards, it may well be.
The other big question is, can the players perform to the wonderful levels we see them perform at without that intense pressure?
That's a good point.
Because it feels to me...
Without the craziness at the back.
When you watch the Premier League or you watch the World Championships and you've got this raucous crowd, one half of them are going for one player, the other half, they're having banter with them. They're motivated by the crowd, especially the players who get a bit of stick. It's like they're motivated by it, and then they start throwing more 180s. They get the 9 darters, and will you see that level of darts with a very placid,
well-behaved crowd,
refined crowd?
Chelsea fan John, do you think darts works without the booze? Good morning.
Good morning. I mean, I don't think you're comparing apples with apples. When you say it's not going to work over there because they've never had alcohol, in the UK we've always had that. So in their culture they've never had that. So the atmosphere may be the same. You just don't know currently.
John, that's Simon's point, isn't it? You're
well, the atmosphere's not going to
singing from the same hymn sheet.
You don't get the same atmosphere with 10,000 sober people and 10,000.
Yeah, Chris, what do you think? Manchester United fan. You've got to have a few drinks before you watch United these days, never mind the darts. But what do you think? Does darts work without the booze?
We're not doing too bad lately.
Oh, right.
We had a good win at the weekend.
Well said, Chris. What do you think?
It's very interesting, this, because I work with a lot of the darts players, PDC players, amateur players, all levels.
Right.
Yes, I'm a clinical hypnotherapist and psychotherapist. I work with Stephen Bunton and Nathan Aspinall then too. And it's really interesting, this, for me, because it is a big aspect of playing is drinking to do with darts. And really it just masks nerves, what I find, but a lot of players do it. And it will be very, very interesting to see how they perform without the influence of alcohol, really.
Oh, you're saying there actually a lot of the players have a little drink before they play? Is that what your point is?
Yes, it's the culture, isn't it? I mean, that's at all levels. Drinking comes with darts.
Yeah, but Barry Hearn was just actually saying that most players now don't drink. You're actually going against that.
Not going against it, so to speak. It's all in the individual, isn't it? I mean, I work with a lot of JDC players, and more of them, obviously because of their age, they don't drink. And I work with some amateur players that don't drink and some professional players that don't drink, but quite a lot still do.
Okay, good point. Chris, thanks for that. Well, time will tell. Because it heads out there in January, we'll know more then. James is waiting to speak to us. James, darts without the alcohol, does it work?
Hi, mate. Yeah, good show as always, guys.
Thanks, James.
Yeah, what it is I go to the F1 every year. I've done for years and years now. Obviously, you're in the circuit from 7:30 till 10 o'clock at night. So I've been in before now with like about 15 cans of beer sort of thing, which is not a lot. I'm not promoting that. But then last year we went there, Silverstone slapped a 6-can limit on us. And then when this year, there was no alcohol because they said they were trying to promote family-friendly environment where you can buy the beer inside. So it does help, I find, that you do have a drink when you're watching these events, yeah.
Goodbye, all right. Good.
I think the biggest factor,
thanks, James.
The biggest point is the players' ability to perform to the highest level and put on the best show without their normal atmosphere.
The raucousness, yeah.
Because you said it about the football in COVID, and I just remember watching a lot of the games, thinking, this ain't what I want.
Well, what I would say is we've got a darts board jars from here, and I've yet to hit a treble 20, and I've been sober for 14 years. So what does that tell you? It's 11:30. We're live in talkSPORT.
Rio Ferdinand's told talkSPORT to expect Stevie G back in management very soon.
I personally, he never said this to me, but I personally think just the energy that I felt in that room, that if Rangers came calling that he'd go, and he'd at least have that conversation.
Now, talkSPORT's been told we're getting pre-game preparation all wrong.
I think we've just got to go out, by all means enjoy it, but enjoy it by being disciplined here.
That's Warnock with Sheffield United back in 2005. But when mental skills coach Gilbert Anoka worked with the all-conquering All Blacks, he found players didn't listen to the coach's team talk.
And he went to someone else, what are you doing? He said, I've got a song playing in my head. I'm not even listening to a word you say. And so he said, well, if it's not right for the team, then I don't do it. And from that day, for the next decade or so, we never had a team talk before a test match. Because if the players aren't ready, by that moment, they aren't going to perform.
There's more from Anoka, who's the current England cricket's team psychologist, on the White and Jordan Outspoken podcast. You can find that on the talkSPORT app. And Luke Littler says no one knows what's been going on behind the scenes. The Nuke's confirmed he's now managing himself after splitting with the company he's been with since the age of 13. There's more on this and all the other stories on talksport.com.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Get ready for the golden era of sports betting. Visit betmgm.co.uk or download the app. 18+gambleaware.org.
The top man at BetMGM is Sean Martin. He joins us live as we look at some of the odds in and around some of the biggest sporting events in the world right now. Sean, good morning to you. Listen to this, 7 games down in the Premier League. So where are you at BetMGM regards to state of play?
Morning, guys. Yeah, we were talking about Liverpool's late goals at both ends this morning, Arsenal's defence, etc. In terms of title favourites, it is Arsenal less than even money at 9-10. Liverpool there at 11-4. Start of the season when I was on with you, it was Liverpool 9-5 and Arsenal 9-4. So a bit of a switch around there. You might remember, Jim, when you asked me who I fancied, I had a sneaking suspicion for Man City. They were there at 3-1 at the time. They've actually moved out. They're 4-1 now. At the other end, Burnley 3-10 favourites to be relegated, and then it's Wolves 13-25 and Sunderland 6-4 alongside West Ham at the same price. Very, very harsh on Sunderland, given the way they've started the season, I reckon. But what do you think then? Like, having had time to take stock of the first kind of clutch of games, if I were to give you each a free bet, I'm not, just to put that on record, I'm not. But if I was to give you each a free bet, where would each of your money be going for the title, but also for relegation?
Oof. Interesting. Danny, do you want to...
Well, I've shifted a little bit after seeing the first 7 games, and I'd say Arsenal now. I'd go with the bookies on that because they're so solid. And
really?
They've got that sprinkling of stardust now they've added to the forward area of the pitch. I hope I'm wrong, and I'd like to see Liverpool get back on track really quickly. I think that Man City could be in the shake-up if Haaland stays fit, because at the moment he's played as well as I've ever seen. His all-round game is phenomenal.
Yeah.
He looks hungry, looks fit and strong and determined. He's just so good. So if he stays fit, I throw them in the mix. But
what happened to the phrase "they get Florian Wirtz and it's done"?
Well, I think I underestimated the amount of changes having the impact they did. Too many of them have not hit the strap. Too many of them have, not done enough or done as well as I thought they would, the new players, and actually losing they did when we talk about Jota's impact on the team and Diaz especially, and Trent, of course, who they couldn't keep. It's had it's had an impact. But I still think Liverpool will be there.
So Liverpool are transition as far as you're concerned.
Well, they'll get
Everybody
better.
else
They'll
is.
get better for sure.
Right. Do you want to give us your 3 that go down? Is that what you want as well, Sean? The 3 that go down?
By all means, yep.
Sorry, I'm putting you in the spot.
Off the top of my head, I'd go.
Lord Jordan's phoning a friend. Although that's a tall order.
It is, yeah. I'd go. He's texting GP. What's it called? Not GTP. What is it? I don't know. Chat GPT. Burnley.
Okay.
Wolves.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna go Leeds.
Right.
Sorry, Leeds. I hope I'm wrong.
Sunderland to stay up then.
Just about, yeah.
Yeah. Simon, who did you think at the start? Have you changed your mind? Danny's changed his mind, gone
To win the
Arsenal.
league?
Yeah.
I felt it would be Liverpool. I have felt that Arsenal should have won it last year and ultimately should be in the mix this year. So I have a mixed emotions about it, but I still think Liverpool will come through. I have questions about Slot because ultimately it's now his team. Last year it wasn't his team. So we're now finding out whether Slot can manage a team that he has to assemble rather than one he has to inherit. That'll be an interesting dynamic. But I'm going to stay with my original prediction, which is Liverpool, and I don't get involved with forecasting relegations. Because it's negative.
Do you know what? I might swap Leeds, actually.
It's like forecasting people getting the sack. It's
It is a miserable topic. But I think actually Brentford might slip below Leeds. I don't know.
Yeah. I think Liverpool will win it. I still think they'll.
Getting relegated, won't he?
Yes, indeed. I think Wolves will probably struggle in the end. I think Leeds might struggle. I think Forest might struggle.
You think Forest? No, Forest won't go down.
Yeah. Brentford are 7-2 to go down. Danny, Forest 11-4. I totally get the argument for Liverpool.
What
and
price are Sunderland?
Sunderland to go down. Sunderland to go down are 6-4. So same as West Ham, which I think's harsh given the way they've started the season, Danny, to be honest.
The only thing is, we've seen it many times in the past, good starts for newly promoted teams, they tend to get sucked back down. I remember my time, Blackpool being the best example of starting a season like, my God.
Yeah.
You know, and then all of a sudden teams work them out and they start just pulling you back.
Yeah.
Premier League's ruthless.
Yeah. So, Sean, go on, Sean. Throw it in.
I was going to say a couple of Sunderland fans in the work and they're kind of worried for AFCON. Around about that time, they think that's when they could come unstuck.
That's a good shout, actually. We haven't even considered
real
that.
possibility about that.
That's why they're cookies.
Simon and I will be back tomorrow at 10 because you now want to talk golf with Danny.
Well, first of all, fantastic tip on the Alfred Dunhill links last week, Danny. Don't back anyone who was in the Ryder Cup. Bob McIntyre first, Tyrrell Hatton second. So who are we avoiding? Spanish Open this week is what I'm wondering.
Do you know what? That's actually it's weird, isn't it? You think they're going to be off it, but actually probably so relaxed and not even worried about it. They just go out and play, maybe. Big Bob.
Wonderful.
Listen, I agreed with you last week. I thought it was a bit much to ask the European Ryder Cup players to come across, do the business, but once that lovely Scottish weather kicked in, there was only going to be one.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the thing.
Well, I think Big Bob was motivated by Simon slagging him off for getting a half in the Ryder Cup.
I didn't do that at all.
It must have been.
Yes, you did.
I never did that at all.
And Big Bob thought, I'll show you. Went out and won the Dunhill. Anyway, carry on, Sean.
No, so Spanish Open, John Rahm there, 3-time winner and lost a playoff last year. He heads the field at 3-1. Livs Joaquin Neyman, 10-1 second favourite. Also teeing it up, you've got the likes of Patrick Reed at 18-1. Shane Lowry, 20-1 alongside Marco Penge. Sergio's there at 33s if you fancy him to roll back the years, albeit he's actually only won this event once way back in 2002. Are there any fancies in particular for this one, Danny, or is it a wee bit after the Lord Mayor's show, after the Ryder Cup and the homecoming?
Rahm loves that competition, doesn't he? I wouldn't look past him, to be honest. I haven't actually seen the field. Since the Ryder Cup, I've been a little bit... It's like you say it perfectly after the Lord Mayor's show. It's like every competition the weeks preceding it just don't seem to have the same kind of gravitas.
No, can't match anything.
Yeah, exactly. Close. But no, I'd go safe with Rahm, Spanish Open.
Yeah. 3-1.
Sean, the World Grand Prix of darts, we've been talking about darts, but there was an exceptional match between Littler and Van Veen last night. What do you think?
Yeah, well, Simon's best pal, Michael Van Gerwen, dumped out in straight sets as well, lest we forget. Luke Littler through, also in straight sets, despite, as you say, his opponent, Jan Van Veen, great talent, setting a record tournament average. Few big names on tonight, Rob Cross, Stephen Bunting, Luke Humphries, Gary Anderson, just under 3-1. for the four of them to win their matches. But I'll tell you, all the Littler chat this morning sparked another debate between us at MGM, and that was whether he should be right in the running for Sports Personality of the Year. What do you reckon, Danny? I mean, you one, have you been watching much of the darts lately? But also, two, is Littler a decent shout for that kind of accolade insofar as it means much to the players?
You never know with Sports Personality of the Year, do you? There's been some random winners over recent times, so he is a phenomenal personality, but it doesn't always go with the...
Do you think he can win Sports Personality of the Year? It's a simple bloody question.
Don't know, don't care.
There you go. There's the answer.
Is that fair?
That's fair enough, yeah.
And no, I haven't been watching much of the darts, but I will be watching tonight because there's no football on, so I've got the darts on tonight.
Fair enough, that's the hierarchy in the Murphy household, is it? Littler was second to Keely Hodgkinson last year, remember, and was 3-1 just after winning the world title earlier this year, but he's now 50-1, so the market suggests he's way down the list. However, those things can all change given when it happens. Chloe Kelly, 8-11 favourite after her exploits with the Lionesses. Rory McIlroy, Danny, is 7-5 second favourite after completing the Grand Slam.
He's got to get it, surely.
Yeah, he'd be the first golf winner since Nick Faldo in 1989. And you would think if he doesn't win it this year, is he ever going to win it? I know it's not the top of his priority list, but you think someone with the personality and the talent and the success of Rory McIlroy would at some point win that award. Lando Norris, 25-1, but I wonder if he were to win the F1 driver's title, then would he maybe move up to favourite?
Wasn't Rory a little bit rude to the media earlier on this year? On that count against him when he was a little bit rude to the media because he didn't want to talk to them, and everyone got all offended about it.
They don't have
Are you having a re-swipe about the media? Listen, Sean, thank you very much indeed. What's up with you and Michael Van Gerwen? Have you got a thing about Van Gerwen?
I don't much like him. You were there when we had him in down at wherever it was down at the O2.
It's not easy, is he?
No, not easy on the eye either.
Oh, dear me. No, well, surprisingly, he didn't think much of you. Michael Van Gerwen, Jan Van Veen, so much for the darts. Wonder when Hertz Van Rentel is throwing the arrows. We are coming up to 11:45 this Wednesday lunchtime, soon to be lunchtime.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Keep things golden with responsible play at betmgm.co.uk. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
And thanks to Sean, BetMGM. Always remember, you can visit betmgm.co.uk, download the app, 18 plus, begambleaware.org. Sorry, Danny.
Enjoyed that. I got blatantly wrong. Tyrrell Latin and Bob McIntyre were 1 and 2, and I said don't tip any of them. He was waiting for that.
Danny, you know your golf. Of that, there is no doubt. A lot to get through between now and 1 o'clock. Rejoin us after this. Wednesday morning, not for much longer, the 8th of October. Jim White, Simon Jordan, Danny Murphy were live in talkSPORT. You just heard us talking about maybe our eventual winners in our own mind's eye of the Premier League. Who do we think will do it? Simon stuck with Liverpool. I go with Liverpool. Danny, I think, has changed and goes with Arsenal. You think at the moment, though, Simon, that Arne Slot has got a few big decisions to make? He's all of a sudden, he's got a lot on his plate on the old in-tray because of recent results.
Well, I don't want to be ridiculous to question the capability of the man, but he inherited a team last year. And whilst there were subtle changes, there is also an argument to be said, and I'm not going to like to hear this, that the rest of the league was relatively mediocre at times. The Man Cities of the world fell off a cliff. Arsenal didn't push the envelope the way we thought we did. So Liverpool sort of sauntered into winning the league. And now he's got a team for a variety of different reasons, one of them through tragedy and another through circumstance that a player wanted to leave, that he's now having to recreate. Put aside how much money he's spending. I've not been on that gang about how much money he's spent because I think that's an unfair comparison. But we are now seeing the Arne Slot team be created in front of our eyes because he's having to reassemble it. So we're now going to judge Arne Slot by a different set of standards rather than the fortuitous environment he got to walk into, which was a brilliant dressing room full of brilliant players that were ready to plug and play. Now it's slightly different, and we're not seeing this Liverpool side anywhere near the levels that we saw them last year. We are seeing Manchester City being slightly better. We are seeing a re-engaged and a mature Erling Haaland being very visibly on his game. We are seeing Arsenal now, albeit that Liverpool beat them, and the criticism Arteta took from that game wasn't being bold enough, but we are seeing an Arsenal side with an embarrassment of riches that can change games by having a bench that's as strong as anything in the Premier League. So it's a real challenging landscape for Slot because he's, unfortunately for him, and we are all guilty of this, he's set himself such a high standard, he's going to be judged by it.
Well, it's also, I hope he looks at it as, and the fans look at it as an exciting watch because he's got an abundance of talent there and just trying to find the right combinations and the right system to suit them is going to be exciting to watch. And I don't think we should minimalise, I don't think you necessarily are, what he did last season because although it was a really established squad, it was the same squad of players that fell at the end of the season before when Klopp was there and couldn't get over the line. Yeah. And the way he tweaked it did allow them to control more games and get over the line. So I think he's capable. I think he's blessed because he's got, although he might not be 100% involved in all the signings, I'm sure he has a say, but it's not as black and white as people think where a Slot goes, I want him, and him. Yeah. That's not the way the Liverpool transfer committee works.
So all of a sudden you're seeing, Simon, that Slot's got a challenging landscape. It's just that after the Galatasaray defeat, you were telling us all to stop catastrophising.
Yes, but it's not the same thing, is it? As saying he's got a challenging landscape and then forecasting doom. They are different things. They might be in the same zip code to some extent in people's minds. I think that Liverpool have not started the season particularly well in terms of the coherency of their performances. There were questions asked of them in the first game of the season against Bournemouth that people were surprised by how competitive Bournemouth were in this game, albeit Bournemouth were a good side, but Bournemouth were a side that had been pillaged for their best players. Yeah. By the way, that boy Semenyo is some player, isn't he? He ain't going to be there long. And you look at it and say, well, one thing is catastrophising and saying, oh, the end is not nigh, bring out your dead. Another thing is saying it's got a challenging landscape.
And I'm not entirely sure we were doing that last week, but anyway, we'll go with you on that. What's your perception of Mo Salah at this time, Simon? We touched on this, and I think you incurred the wrath of a few Liverpool fans, but you were quite strident in where you think Mo Salah actually is at this particular time in his career.
Well, I think he's a wonderful player. I mean, I've never been as huge an admirer of Mo Salah as maybe other people are. And if I say something like that and you get these idiots that pop up and say, oh, is that xenophobia then? Nothing to do with it. It's just not my favourite sort of player. I don't think he works for the team. I think he's a wonderful goal scorer, has achieved wonderful outcomes for Liverpool. But in a team that goes into certain starts in certain games, you can see what he doesn't do. Now, that's a terrible thing to focus on what people don't do. But in the business that we're in, that's what we have to do at times. And so I'm watching him against Chelsea. I thought Wayne Rooney was very bold, to be fair, because he was, going after the favoured son and saying he doesn't work hard. He doesn't track back.
Danny Simon's right. I mean, Rooney didn't mess around. Wayne says, I think he looks lost. Great players often have a bit of an ego, and Salah has been among the best for a long time. But this week, I've doubts about his motivation. We know he always doesn't track back defensively, but against Chelsea, he let his fullback struggle without reacting. He says, that was worrying. He needs help. The dressing room leaders need to tell him, you've got to do more.
I don't think he looks lost. I think he's getting in great positions. His end product isn't as good as it has been. He's set the bar ridiculously high. His finishing hasn't been anywhere near to his levels. He's shooting when he should pass, passing when he should shoot, miss-hitting shots or ballooning them over when we've seen him score so many times in those positions. So his end product's down. Physically, he's getting in the same positions. He looks sharp, he looks fit. I wouldn't worry about that. So I don't think he looks lost in terms of what they're doing when they've got the ball. It's just his decision-making and end product ain't what we used to see. And in terms of the defensive thing, I think Wayne's right. I don't think that Salah sometimes spots the danger that his team are in because he's given a licence from Slot. We talked about this last season, and it's the same as last season. He's allowed to cheat. Call it cheating in terms of letting the fullback go. So when Liverpool win the ball back, he's in these wonderful positions to go and hurt the opposition. Now, that's all well and good, fine. If the team is set up behind him properly to fill the gaps he leaves by not defending, that's okay. But they're not set up to do it as well as they were last season. The other thing I'd say, and where I agree with Wayne, is that it doesn't matter what the manager tells you sometimes. It doesn't matter what licence you're given. If you see your team struggling and you're giving up chances and your right back is getting doubled up and you're not getting back to help, then that's on you. So he has to be more proactive in his defensive work. He doesn't have to do it every time.
Yeah.
Because that's not what he does. Because you can't score 30, 40 goals a season when you're always defending. So I understand the balance here. The reality is that game at Chelsea were brilliant at exposing that weakness. Every time they got good possession, it went out there. Left side. And that's Maresca and the team working on it and going, this is where we're going to hurt them.
Yeah.
That's where the winner came from as well, by the way. Salah had to recognise that, and Slot did. I was amazed Slot didn't say to him, oi, come on now.
Yeah.
We're under the cosh.
Yeah.
Get back and help your fullback.
Sure.
So that is fair criticism from Wayne, but I don't think he looks lost when they got the ball. He's still getting in really dangerous positions. He's just not, his end product and decision-making isn't to his normal standards. But do I think he's undroppable? Yes, I do at the moment. I wouldn't go down that. Still. Yeah. Because he has proven time and time again when he's had spells like this before that if you leave him in there, he's going to get it back. The goals will come because the chances are there.
Okay. What do you know this Wednesday lunchtime? It's official. Watford are delighted to confirm the return of Javi Gracia as head coach after deciding to part ways with Paulo Pezzolano and his backroom staff, who we thank sincerely for their efforts and commitment during the time in charge. We wish them every success going forward. It's reckoned, Simon, it's reckoned, Danny, that the club are confident that Javi Gracia will bring the qualities we believe are vital for this young squad: consistency in team selection, harmony in the dressing room. His vision and approach align closely with our objectives. Pezzolano had 10 games in all competition. And now he's gone. He's the 22nd managerial appointment, Gracia, of the Pozzo era in 2012. What does that tell us, Simon, about the Pozzos? I mean, talk about hire and fire. They invented the phrase.
They did. And that's the way they want to run their football club, and there has consequences attached to it. People know the job when they go in there. They all run to get the job. There's no one turns the job down when they get offered it, seemingly, at Watford. And whether we like it or we don't, that's the way they run their football club. I mean, there is an orthodoxy that is said that stability and patience are virtues in football club ownership, and sometimes they are and sometimes they aren't. This guy's been there before. I don't know why he left last time round, but I imagine the same situations will manifest themselves again. He won't fulfil his 2-year contract, I suspect, and Watford will change manager in 6 months' time. But there's nothing wrong with that. It's just wrong with it because people think that the best way to run a football club is to have managers there all the time that don't achieve
Well,
things.
it gave them some success initially, and he actually did all right for the large part of his tenure when he was there before. So they're probably thinking, you know what, we know what he's good at. It fell apart a bit near the end, but Chelsea had success, continually changing managers. It's a different level, of course, because they had brilliant players, but I don't think it's the best way.
It's not the blueprint to run a football club, is it?
No. And it
How can it be?
Do you know what it does? I think the biggest problem with it is it disengages the fans to a degree because you've got this turnstile of players and this turnstile of managers that you don't build up relationships and rapport with.
Yeah.
Now, well, you could argue it doesn't matter who's playing and who's manager as long as you're winning, but they're not winning.
Because he lost his way, didn't he?
Well, they won at the weekend.
Javier
They beat Oxford 2-1.
Javier Gracia was going really well for a period of time, wasn't he? And then all of a sudden he lost his way, and all of a sudden the fans went against him, and he didn't seem to have any ability to change it. And out the door he's gone.
Yeah.
So, and I don't think he did pull up any great trees at Leeds, did he?
He guided them to the 11th, which was their best ever finish, and he guided them to an FA Cup final as well.
Yeah, which was pretty damn good going.
And they walked into Manchester City. At the moment, Watford are 11th in the Championship.
He's a nice guy, though.
Well,
if that helps.
That'll help. What? I'm a lovely guy. Let me in. We're coming up to 12 noon this Wednesday lunchtime. Javi Gracia back at Watford as there is another departure. In this instance, Pesolano has gone from the football club. 12 noon this Wednesday lunchtime.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van Range, helping business owners to work better and live better. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
With your headlines at 1 minute past 12, I'm Nick Ellaby. Good afternoon. Watford have confirmed Javi Gracia as their new manager. We understand it's a 2-year deal. It's Gracia's second stint at the club following the sacking of Paulo Pezzolano, who we're told fell out with nearly every Watford player. Meanwhile, Rio Ferdinand's told talkSPORT Stephen Gerrard's ready to return to management.
I personally, he never said this to me, but I personally think just the energy that I felt in that room, that if Rangers came calling that he'd go and he'd at least have that conversation.
We're told Gerrard's the leading contender to take over at Ibrox from the sacked Russell Martin. Some breaking news, Harry Kane has not trained with England due to an ankle injury. The captain is now a doubt to face Wales tomorrow evening, live on talkSPORT. Now, darts without alcohol. Will it work?
Will it be the same festive party atmosphere? Probably not. But let's try it and see.
Matchroom founder Barry Hearn's unsure if there's an appetite for darts in Saudi Arabia, but he's told White and Jordan it'll be an interesting experiment and the players understand the rules.
There's no smuggling stuff in or, round corners. That's the law, and you will get arrested and potentially imprisoned if you break the law in any country.
Saudi Arabia is getting its first PDC event in January. Leading rugby union nations are threatening to ban players from internationals if they join a new breakaway league. Ireland, England, Scotland, New Zealand, South Africa and Australia are warning the proposed R360 competition could be enormously harmful to the game. And it's reported Pat Cummins will miss the first Ashes test and maybe the whole series. The Aussie captain and leading fast bowler's back injury has improved but not healed. More Ashes build up on the talkSPORT Cricket YouTube.
talkSPORT News.
Kemi Badenoch has thanked Conservative members for standing by the party and pledges to ban doctors going on strike. And the Manchester synagogue attacker rang 999 to admit he killed 2 Jewish people. More from the news team at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. At QuickFit, we're all about keeping you safe on the road. With our comprehensive motor insurance, we're here for every journey. Search QuickFit Motor Insurance to find out more.
Dry with sunny spells for most, but in the south, patchy rain hanging around till the early afternoon and showers in the north and west as well. Temperatures near average.
Good afternoon, everybody. It is now officially Wednesday afternoon. It's Jim White, it's Simon Jordan, it's Danny Murphy, and we are live on talkSPORT. The Rangers job, who's going to get it? Reports circulating that Rangers are set to hold talks with Steven Gerrard sometime this week. We'll see what comes of that. Other names in the frame: Sean Dyche, maybe Stephen Robinson, of course, who's done well with St Mirren. We'll keep an eye on that, of course, from this point onwards. But reports circulating that Rangers set to hold talks with Steven Gerrard later this week. In the meantime, comings and goings, and this is a familiar theme at Watford in the Championship. Watford this lunchtime delighted to confirm the return of Javi Gracia as head coach after deciding to part ways with Paolo Pezzolano and his backroom staff. Pezzolano took charge of 10 games in all competitions. Gracia will be the 22nd managerial appointment of the Pozzo era since 2012. Martin is a big Watford fan who's called up and wants to join Simon, myself and Danny. Martin, good afternoon. What's your take on it? You have a new manager.
Yep, again, a merry-go-round. But people, you've got to look at the long part about what's been going on, because Pozzo's have been there for that amount of time. We've been in the Premier League for 5-6 years. We've had an FA Cup final. We've had 2 Championship playoffs, and everybody knocks them and says, "Is that the right way to go?" Well, they must be doing something right, because a lot of Premier League clubs would love to be to an FA Cup final and play like Watford do at the moment.
So do you sit back and quite enjoy the way they do it?
If it works, it works. At the end of the day, I mean, Tottenham, how many managers they had in the last 15, 16 years? 10, 12 managers? And they're a massive club.
Yeah, but to be fair to Tottenham, they haven't been in the Championship.
No, but they haven't been to a cup final either, have they? Until last year, for 25 years. And they've spent millions and millions, and they got one of the best stadiums in the world. The Pozzos have turned Watford Football Club around, the actual ground. We've had the FA Cup final, we've had playoffs, and it's a merry-go-round. And when you're on a merry-go-round, you enjoy it. It's like a fun fair.
Well, that's the main thing, isn't it? If fans are enjoying it and they're okay with it. You can never compare it to what it would be like in a different environment where it's more stable and different owners. You got nothing to compare it to because that's just not the way it works. So if he's happy and the Watford fans are happy, then...
So, Martin, before you leave us, you thoroughly back the Pozzo method this lunchtime?
I don't back him in sacking managers on a regular basis, but no one had a clue who the last manager was.
Well,
we don't know where he come from. We don't know what he won.
Well, you know Javi Gracia, who's coming in because you've had him before.
Yeah, that's correct. We've had him before, but I think that's stability they brought him in for. I think so. I don't know. But at the end of the day, when we look at the ground to what it was and what it is now, they've completely turned the ground around. We've enjoyed the merry-go-round with Championship playoffs, FA Cup final, semi-final FA Cups. You know, we've really enjoyed it. But people knock it, but there's a lot of Premier clubs who would love to have gone to the FA Cup final and FA Cup semi-final, and they haven't.
But the problem was, just before you leave us, Martin, and to quote Simon, I've no dog in this particular fight, but you've been in the Championship for the last 4 years.
Yeah, correct.
So you're used to life in the Championship, and you're used to this revolving door mentality.
We went down to the Premiership. We went down from the Premier League to the Championship because we weren't good enough. And at the moment, I don't think there's not many teams who can come up from the Championship and stay in the Premier League because the money is so vast.
Listen,
Whatever way you look at it, you need millions and millions and millions to buy those players to actually stay in the Championship. So unless you've got 300 million behind you, you're not going to stay in the Premier League.
Listen, thanks for the call. It's an interesting way to look at it. And there is a Watford fan saying, we can live with this.
Well, it's always the way I've looked at it. We've had this conversation over the years about Watford, and I've always said there are many clubs, bigger clubs, potentially in scale than Watford, that would have quite happily taken the last 10 years that Watford have had, which 5 of them were in the Premier League, 1 of them was in the Cup final. It's always this interesting dynamic of people being offended on behalf of other people. Yeah. We're offended on behalf of the Watford fans that aren't offended by their owners. People were offended by how much Chelsea were spending on players. I mean, it's none of our bloody business what Chelsea spend. As long as Todd Bowley's happy, then everyone should be happy for him. And the fact that Watford have run it in a different way, I mean, who's a good chairman? I think who's a good chairman? Steve Gibson. How are they doing? They're doing all right at this moment in time, but they've been languishing in the Championship for the last 4 or 5 years, haven't they? And they've gone through quite a few managers. I mean, there isn't the extreme is the Watford model, but as a matter of course, it has worked. Watford have no God-given right to be in the Premier League. The scale of Watford as a football club is always punching up to be able to achieve things, and the Potsos, don't believe that a manager needs to be kept in a job to achieve certain levels of success.
Yeah.
And that's their belief system. And I assume now that's how they write their contracts, because they cannot be paying compensation out every single time they take a manager, because they would have spent twice as much on compensation than they ever did on employing managers.
Well, I mean, earlier this week, I think you said it would be perceived as being lazy if Rangers go back for Steven Gerrard. Is it lazy of Watford to go back for Javi Gracia?
Depends what problem they're fixing. Depends if they think that what Javi Gracia did the first time round was the same sort of predicament they find themselves in now.
Well, we heard from Martin, the Watford fan. Here's Neil, the Watford fan. What are you thinking, Neil?
Well, I'm confused slightly, Jim, but there you go. That's just me personally. But in terms of Gracia, for me, everyone goes, we've sacked so many managers. Yeah, we have. But we've also failed to make the right appointment each time. And if you look at what they've done, they flip-flop and they overcompensate for the outgoing manager's failing. So Cleverley was there, loved by the fans, brought the club together, and then they brought in Solano, who they've backed, by the way, because we've got the 9th highest wage bill in the league. But they've gone for someone that was a really strict, authoritarian type manager, and they're now going back to Gracia, who was loved by the fans, a really nice guy, but they just don't seem to get the appointment right. Now, I don't know whether Gracia's going to work, because we've actually got a really gifted squad. But some of the selections of the previous caller said he's enjoyed the football. He obviously wasn't away at Portsmouth the other night, because that was a absolutely shocking first half display, and pulling off the most attacking threat after 30 minutes, who's a young lad that's just come over from a foreign country. You could see that Solano was making some very odd decisions. But then the other narrative that comes out is that the suits at the club, so Pozzo, Nani and Scott Duxbury, they interfere with the team selection. And that's a story that's been flying around for years. So I think to throw the manager under the bus and not think that you're somewhat guilty of the failings on the pitch is a little bit delusional or narcissist. But as the bit that I do agree with the previous caller, they have backed him with money, although it's debt leveraged, which is another story that Simon can probably pick up on. The bit is it's just another merry-go-round, and it is part of Watford and it's part of us. But yeah, they put money in but they do not know how to make the wrong appointments with managers.
Oh, listen, Neil, what a call. Thank you very much indeed. I mean, there's a fan who clearly is immersed in his football club.
Yep.
And he's immersed in the comings and goings, and he, like everybody else, is standing from distance watching it curiously. But at the same time, there is this having of the owners. They're actually having the Pozzos, because on this hand, it might be a revolving door, but they are still trying to achieve the very best for the club on behalf of the fans.
Yeah, I mean, they're idiots, but they're our idiots, might be the mentality that they have towards the ownership. I'm not suggesting that the Pozzos are idiots. I'm just using an expression to highlight the point. The fact is that if you've employed 23 managers or whoever it is over 13 years, then your managerial appointments aren't working, are they? Because no one really believes in real terms, despite the fact that I quite like the idea that we don't have to just stay with what people have done in the past, which is you need to have a manager in for a period of time, so he can keep on getting it wrong. So we can have 2 years to get it wrong. And then at the end of it, well, you gave him 2 years and he still got it wrong. Well, you wasted a year, 18 months. You could have got rid of him much earlier.
Yeah.
The fact is that they have a model. And again, I make the point, there's a tacit acceptance, it would appear, but amongst a significant proportion of the Watford fans, that on the whole, there is an element of success, a modicum of success that has been achieved as a result of Watford getting themselves in and around being at the top end of the Championship into the Premier League. If you look at their performances over the last 10 years and say maybe 40% of the time they've been in the Premier League, 30% of the time they've been competing to try and get in there, and 10% of the time they were in an FA Cup final. I think there's probably 72 other clubs, and probably 10 or 15 of them on the stature that's similar of Watford will go, well, we'll have some of that.
Maybe the Pozzo approach is the right approach. And other owners will follow suit.
No, I don't think it's the right approach. I just think it's a approach.
Oh, it's an approach. But at the same time, Danny, what do you think players will think?
Well, there'll always be a group of players who benefit from managerial change, and there'll always be some who don't, because you'll get some managers like certain players better than others.
I mean, 10 games for Pezzolano in all competition. He's gone. Oh, look who's back.
We asked Troy this, didn't we? We asked Troy Deeney this a while ago, and what was his attitude towards the conveyor belt? And he said, "We just think it's the owners. We just think that's what the owners do.
Yeah.
We didn't miss a beat on it. It was what it was.
Yeah.
It is what it is. We know the nature of the rules of engagement, and we just got on with what we got on with."
Well, I think the fan was saying that the last guy who nobody knew was a bit of an
authoritarian.
Authoritarian, and the players doesn't seem like they've adapted to that very well, because they haven't won many games. If they've got a decent squad and a decent wage bill and they feel like they can be competitive and they're not, then it makes sense to change. I'm surprised with the calls we've had, really, because I think we were expecting more of a resistance.
Kind of what the hell's going on.
And actually, I agree with Simon to a degree in that who are we to judge if the fans are reasonably happy?
Yeah. Well, I agree with you. It's not up to us to be offended on other people's behalf, but we certainly can observe it. And
Absolutely.
We're observing it with considerable curiosity. Because that door shuts and that one opens.
And it's a model that, again, let's pair it back. Where should Watford be? Should Watford be in the Premier League? Do they have a right to be in the Premier League?
They've no right, but they would think, we should be in the Premier League.
But we all think that. But let's distill it into the real world and say, what sort of club are Watford? Once upon a time, because of Graham Taylor and the achievements of the past, they built a legacy of a football club that has great heritage because of one man's achievements. Over the years, they've punched above their weight most of the time.
Give me the only reason that the Pozzos are changing it so much. What is that only reason?
I don't know. I'm not there.
Well, clearly it's to be in the Premier League.
It's a desire to succeed.
Absolutely.
Well, yes, I would suspect so. Yeah, I would suspect so. And of course, so on the basis of that, but of course, they're also, I would imagine, writing contracts that managers are prepared to accept in a world where managers don't accept contracts that we are suggesting gets them fired every 5 minutes, because they cannot be paying compensation. There's no way that these guys are putting people on contracts, like this guy coming in on a 2-year contract. If they've been him after 6 months, they're not going to pay him 18 months' money up. So there must be a contract that's been written, the Watford contract, that basically says, here's a contract with no start date and no end date on it.
Maybe they just pay more money. Maybe they just pay a higher wage.
Yeah.
I doubt that.
No?
Yeah. Okay, well, Javi Gracia is back in at Watford. I suppose the question is, after you say good luck, for how long? It is 12:15 this Wednesday lunchtime. Wednesday lunchtime, Jim White, Simon Jordan, Danny Murphy live in talkSPORT. Many of you watching the show just as you were yesterday. And of course, you can do that in a whole variety of different ways, and we're delighted that you're doing so. Google TV, Android, even Prime Video. Many of you watched yesterday, and if you did, you, like Simon and myself, would be very impressed by this gentleman, the New Zealander Gilbert Enoka. And there was a big reaction to this because many of you out there liked what Gilbert Enoka had to say. Who is he? He's the former All Blacks mental performance coach, the guy who made the New Zealand rugby team tick over 2 decades. So this guy was in at the sharp end and knew what he was talking about. So rugby was his speciality, and performance coaching, mental performance coaching within that sphere was his own speciality. But he also dipped his toe into the world of football and worked a bit with Chelsea. And there it was different when it came to team talks.
Back in 2005, when we had the revolution inside our leadership, one of the aspects that was under scrutiny was the coach's team talk. And one of the leaders said to the coach at the time was Graham Henry, are you doing this for you, or are you doing it for the other people? And he said, what do you mean? He said, well, Ted, you know, when you do your team talk, I'm not sure it's reaching people. And so he said to him, he said to one of the players, what do you do when I have my team talk? He says, I'm just waiting to get on the bus, Ted. And he went to someone else, what are you doing? He said, I've got a song playing in my head. I'm not even listening to a word you say. And so he said, well, if it's not right for the team, then I don't do it. And from that day, for the next decade or so, we never had a team talk before a test match. Because if the players aren't ready, by that moment, they aren't going to perform. And what you do in that moment might ignite something which can help move players. But my experience is that all the great work has to be done way before that.
So that was Gilbert talking about the team talks and how they went down or didn't go down amongst some of the players. And he said football was different. Was it different, Danny? Was it different? Did you hang on every word of whoever was delivering that team talk in your time at Liverpool, in your time at Fulham, Tottenham, etc.?
No, I mean, if you're talking about a team talk as in on the day just before a match, I agree with that that's different than a talk maybe in the middle of the week or a couple of days before. I always felt Houllier was brilliant at team talks, but it didn't have to be necessarily on the day. I agree with that sentiment around a lot of the work has to be done earlier. But it's how you define a team talk. If you're talking on the match day and there's a couple of hours before kickoff, you can only say so much. Players are already little details, tactical ones. But no, I think a good team talk can be beneficial to some players if the words are really good, yeah.
Yeah, because he was suggesting, Simon, from that, Graham Henry, who's a well-respected figure in the world of rugby, and of course, absolutely quintessentially important to the New Zealanders and what they were trying to achieve. But even then, he was lost in the middle of it, or people got lost in what he was trying to say. I wonder if we overrate, as Danny says, when you're so close to going out, so close to kick-off, do players really listen?
Well, culturally, I think there's a difference. I think the dressing room of a rugby dressing room is often set up in a very different way. And if you listen to some of the rugby players talk about how in the internationals, the players come in at half-time and the coach doesn't speak first, the captain spoke first. And there was a different dynamic, and I think there's a different mentality. I think that I listened to team talks in the past. I think they're absolutely fundamental to certain things, certainly to younger players when they're getting.
Where did you listen to them from?
Well, no, I told you you've made fun of it, but I used to listen to the Warnock talking to the players in in one of the private rooms off the side of the dressing room.
Where you were just hanging about.
Because I wanted to listen to it because I was interested.
Right.
You know, I found it.
He liked watching the lads.
Yeah. No, I like to listen to good team talks. Because I wanted to hear a manager that if I was a footballer, I'd like to play for, and that's what I heard from Neil. So it wasn't surprising to me that young players like Victor Moses enjoyed playing for him and Scott Sinclair because he gave them this freedom when I was listening to him speak to them, you know, ultimately. But it's always a question for me of these players because you think that managers, when you send these young footballers out and they can see the goal in the first minute, you wonder what's been said in the dressing room to concentrate their minds. And when they come out after half-time, having been told something at half-time, and they can see the goal in the first 30 seconds after half-time, you think to yourself, what was being said? What's been listened to?
Or did any of it go in?
But good managers can empower you quite quickly. So I don't mean to run harder, but just empower you to be your best self, give you the freedom to play, give you that confidence that maybe you were lacking. You know, words are very powerful in a dressing room said by the right person. And the other thing is the receiver. Some players are more willing and open to listen and more vulnerable to it. No, not vulnerable. They're more.
Yeah.
They're easier to influence.
Yeah.
Some top players, no matter what. Stevie G, as a young lad, had this complete belief in himself, like Michael Owen. It didn't really matter what was coming out of Gerrard's mouth, Houllier. They were just so, I know how good they am, I know focused I am. You know, I've told a story many times about Stevie nodding off in a meeting before we played Arsenal, you know, because Gerrard was talking for too long, Gerrard Houllier. And he still goes out man of the match. He's just, that depends on the player. But the right words from the right guy can make a hell of a difference to a player, especially a young one.
I thought what was interesting, what he said, Gil, yesterday, was about the method in which you deliver things and why you do it and who's it for. I used to say to management teams, whether it's in business or in sport, if you're going to give, say you're going to berate someone, you need to know how they're going to receive it, or what's the point of doing it, because you might feel better about it, but if you've achieved nothing by doing it, what was the point of it? And he was saying, to some extent, Graham Henry was giving team talks in the rugby dressing room that no one was listening to. And it's interesting to saw about Steven Gerrard. I remember Steven Gerrard coming on the scene as this young superstar in Liverpool's side. We played in a cup semi-final in 2001, and they put Steven Gerrard right back to deal with Andreas Rubens, who'd run you ragged in the first game. And it must have been a change of mentality and to have done that, because you've gone from somebody that's a player that people are looking to achieve things to a player that's looking to stop someone else from doing something. And those sort of team talks and those sort of responses are all relational.
He only got
smashed him. He did, absolutely.
In your days of lurking around in the background, Simon,
lurking,
hoping not to be seen,
lurk a lot,
and you were listening to team talks.
Yes.
Who gave the best team talk?
I thought young Steve Bruce was very good, because you saw why he was a Man United captain. Everything you heard from Steve at that time, as a young manager, 40 years of age, was so symptomatic of why he must have been Manchester United captain and the culture that he came from. And I thought Neil was fabulous with the players. You know, the players that we had, players that Danny will know, like Sean Derry and people of that nature, that got in the dressing room, and I listened to him speaking to the younger players, like I just alluded to, very talented players like Victor Moses, and the way he spoke to them about, just get on the ball, get up the field, not worried about if you lose it, not worried about that. I want you going forward. That's your job. Just do that. And it must have been refreshing to have listened to as a young player, to be given that kind of confidence and that kind of support.
But I bet Neil Warnock was quite concise as well. The biggest problem in football, and I see this in youth football a lot, is the long-winded messaging from each coach who thinks he's Mourinho coaching an under-14, 15 team.
What about the light bulb?
And the lads are
just light bulb.
The lads are just like that.
Connected.
The lads are just like that. And it's the same at professional level. The coaches who have elongated meetings and go into too much detail, and it's just, all of a sudden you lose everybody.
You lose people.
You've got to be concise, articulate.
Are you with us?
Huh?
No,
make sure he's with us.
I was just going to say, it's the kind of feeling I get.
Have you ever been motivated by anyone's words, Jim?
My own. Not really. I was just thinking, the man we met at Glasgow Airport, at Heathrow Airport the other day, Rafa Benitez, that must have been some team talk in Istanbul.
I wasn't there, but my understanding was that it was more about the organisation change of personnel and tactics. We're going to do this now. We're changing this. I don't think it was some inspiration.
My God, talk about instantaneous results. Jeez, amazing. Rafa Benitez, who's over in the States at the moment. Simon and I did speak with Rafa, who you had a few things to say to him that he took on board as he left for his aircraft. Totally
Didn't you make a new friend as well on the train at Crewe Station as you were getting off?
I can't quite remember. In this break, I'll think about that. But maybe Rafa Benitez over in the US at this time may well be of a mind to join us if he can go over his most recent telling off from Simon. It's now 12:30.
Rio Ferdinand's told talkSPORT to expect Stevie G back in management very soon.
I personally, he never said this to me, but I personally think just the energy that I felt in that room, that if Rangers came calling that he'd go and he'd at least have that conversation.
Now, talkSPORT's been told we're getting pre-game preparation all wrong.
I think we've just got to go out, by all means enjoy it, but enjoy it by being disciplined here.
That's Warnock with Sheffield United back in 2005. But when mental skills coach Gilbert Anoka worked with the all-conquering All Blacks, he found players didn't listen to the coach's team talk.
And he went to someone else, what are you doing? He said, I've got a song playing in my head. I'm not even listening to a word you say. And so he said, well, if it's not right for the team, then I don't do it. And from that day, for the next decade or so, we never had a team talk before a test match. Because if the players aren't ready, by that moment, they aren't going to perform.
There's more from Anoka, who's the current England cricket's team psychologist, on the White and Jordan Outspoken podcast. You can find that on the talkSPORT app. And Luke Littler says no one knows what's been going on behind the scenes. The Nuke's confirmed he's now managing himself after splitting with the company he's been with since the age of 13. There's more on this and all the other stories on talksport.com.
It is Wednesday lunchtime. Harry Kane apparently didn't train with the England squad, as you heard from Amelia in her bulletin there. He's got an ankle issue. He's a doubt to face Craig Bellamy's Wales at Wembley tomorrow night. This is just an international match, but there's so much pride at stake in that one that both of them want to come out on top in that game, I'm quite sure. And Watford have now confirmed the sacking of Paolo Pezzolano at Vicarage Road. Back into the frame comes Javi Gracia for another spell in charge. We try to bring you as much accurate information on the show, of course we do, on a regular basis, on a daily basis between 10 and 1. Well, do I remember Simon telling us all that, the Saudi takeover of Newcastle United was, quotes, deader than a dead thing from Deadland. And then what happened? Hey-ho, the Saudis are in at Newcastle. It was quite a moment. And right up towards the end, before the Saudis actually got their hands on the club, Amanda Staveley, the executive at the football club at the time, Amanda no longer there, was in conversation which got rather heated with Simon on that very topic.
I know you're not pro our deal, and I'm not going to get into a splitting fight over on talkSPORT. Mm-hmm. Okay, and that's fine, and you have your opinions, and that's fine.
Okay.
But you've never met me, you don't know who I am, you've never looked at our business plan, and you've never considered, and you aren't aware of the facts over the last few years.
Amanda, you just said you didn't want to have a battle, so let's not get into that, because now you're getting into it.
And saying that the fan base is gullible is absolutely ridiculous.
Well, those fans coming down, Amanda, give them a final couple of sentences. The fans travelling to London, what do you want to say to them? Just a final couple of sentences.
We are looking forward to welcoming you into St James's Park, and we're looking forward to trying to get this transaction over the wall, and it will do.
Are the Saudis still there, by the way, Amanda? Because they walked away.
We've made our position clear, Jim, and thank you very much. And I wanted to take the opportunity to thank the fans and not have a chat with you.
So are the Saudis still there, Amanda? Are the Saudis still wanting to do a deal?
We are all there, Mr. Jordan. We are all passionate about Newcastle. All the consortium members are.
They were there, and 4 years on, they're still there.
What was going on with your hair there?
My hair.
Yeah, that
Was it not good?
Bizarre.
No.
Yeah, you didn't have enough product in it that day. I remember looking at
start, mate.
So 4 years on yesterday, the Saudis very much in charge, and life is going full pelt at Newcastle United. They're going after everything. Their finishes under Saudi ownership thus far: 4th, 7th, 5th, and they're currently 11th at the moment. But no doubt Eddie and the boys will do everything they can to improve on that once they get to the April-May stage. Did you honestly doubt that at that time, Simon, that was going to go over the line? Because I am now joking apart. You are well informed on these matters. But at that time, there were a few red flags coming into the horizon.
Well, yeah. I mean, I got a text message literally about 10 minutes after I made that observation, although the deader than the dead thing. I actually don't know the purpose of paying that one besides ridiculing me. But
that's why we're clear.
That's the purpose of it. Yeah, absolutely. But I got a text message from David Sugden at the time saying the Saudis have copped to piracy and have agreed to pay BN £1 billion in compensation. And the moment I heard that, I said to you, oh my God, they're going to do this deal now.
Yeah.
Because the barrier to entry was not what people suggested it was. And people can dress it up as many ways as they want. And well done to Amanda. She got a deal done. She's a hustler. She gets deals done. That's what she does. And fair play to her. And her motivations of getting involved with Newcastle were 30 million quid worth of opportunity. Fair play to her. Right, and she had a right to put me in the picture and put me in my place, and that was what she tried to do. But the fact of the matter is that at the time, the reasons why I was very solid on the belief that they wouldn't get through the door is because piracy was at the centre of it.
Yeah.
And the moment they changed and they copped to the piracy, which is what they did, Be Out Q was state-sponsored piracy in Saudi. It was hijacking BN signal, projecting it into Saudi, and there was no IPR laws, and the Premier League was having none of it because it was their product that was being hijacked via the relationship with BN. The moment that changed, of course, all bets came off, and of course I got made to look like a fool as a result of saying the deal's deader than a dead thing from Deadland. She got lucky. But she put herself in a way of being lucky, and she has a Rolodex that a lot of people would die for. That's why she's putting herself in a way of deals like Tottenham Hotspur now, because eventually people will land and say, Amanda, can you do this? Amanda, can you do that? And she's done well to do it, and fair play to her.
For 4 years on, this is for both of you now, do you look at Newcastle and do you think they're knocking on the door, or they are part of the Premier League's traditional elite clubs?
I don't think it really matters if you interpret it that way or not. The reality is there's definite progression. The squad is as healthy as it's been in a long, long time, and certainly under their reign, their ownership. It's competitive. They've had they're in the Champions League. They've got the trophy under the belt,
the League Cup. Yeah.
So the boxes are being ticked. They've got a way to go, and it's not going to be easy for them to remain competitive in the top 4 and 5 because of everyone else trying to do the same thing. But I see the manager. I like him. He's impressive. I think he's constantly evolving the team. I like the fact that now they've got competition in all areas of the pitch. And it feels positive there. The fans are on board. There doesn't seem any way it's going to get derailed.
Well, I mean, they have in their own minds this vision of where they want to get to, this Project 2030, Simon.
Yeah, is that what they're saying now?
And the Saudis Public Investment Fund ownership.
Right.
And this is a push that over the next 5 years, Newcastle will establish itself as a powerful force in the English game, in European football as well. And where they hope to be was that they will then be competing for silverware every season. They'll be in finals every season, but they'll regularly play in the Champions League, season after season after season.
Well, I hope so. I mean, obviously, you were the chairman of the celebration committee last year for winning the League Cup.
Oh, I just loved it that you got it so wrong.
And of course, Palace winning the FA Cup didn't quite have the same celebration committee. But I look at it and say, you have a very stark awareness campaign that's just been made evident to Newcastle. Your best player was taken by Liverpool. And to get to the point where you need to be successful, or you're going to be able to achieve these dreams, the Alexander Isaks of the world can't be allowed to leave, because they're very rare talents, and Newcastle need that sort of talent to be able to get to the level of being successful on the field, which then generates the revenue. Two things may happen.
Yeah.
PSR may be scrapped.
Yeah.
And if it's scrapped, then all bets are off.
Yeah.
Because they can do what City did and they can do what Chelsea did.
Until then, it won't happen.
Until then, it's a very difficult ask. Now, what they can do is they can build incrementally. And if they can keep on that, I think their turnover's up to 350 million, something along those lines. If they can build their turnover up now, and I'd like to, I'd like to. I'm surprised they haven't pushed harder. I'm surprised that the Saudis have been so compliant in accepting some of the things that have been foisted upon them. Most of the other ownerships, including Marinakis, have gone, oh, we're going to have a go at this.
The rules are there are none.
We'll play the hard game and see how we can get away with it.
Yeah.
They haven't done that.
Yeah.
So if the PSR rules change, then yes, absolutely. If they don't, very difficult. But if they keep on building incrementally, they can get in the Champions League every single season. And if they don't lose Eddie Howe, because if Tuchel rocks out of the door in 18 months' time, who's to say that Eddie Howe doesn't take the England manager's job because he's bloody good enough?
Yeah.
And with that in mind, all of those things unseat it.
Yeah.
But there's no reason to assume if PSR is disbanded, which I hope it is for the well-being of the Premier League, then Newcastle will be knocking on the door and moving people out of the way like Chelsea and Man City did in the past.
But it still won't, am I naive there? It won't be disbanded completely. It will just be in a different form, no?
Well,
is that what you're
there
hoping?
should be. There always should be some form of governance, but there shouldn't be a restriction upon. If you want to call governance profit and sustainability, then zero in on the word sustainability and tell me what that bloody well means to Newcastle United. Because sustainability to Newcastle United means being owned by $1 trillion sovereign wealth fund. I don't think there's much more sustainability than that.
So therefore, spend what you like.
Yeah. I mean, yes. I mean, Manchester City did.
Yeah.
Chelsea did. They bought their way to
So
a
what
position so they could equalise
guidelines
it. They bought their way so they could equalise the landscape of Liverpool and Man United. Liverpool and Man United and Arsenal, legacy football clubs, had their turnover, had their history. Chelsea and Manchester City, they weren't chopped liver, but they weren't at the top table with those guys, and now they are.
Okay. Well, we've gone from deader than a dead thing in Deadland to more real than a real thing in real land. 4 years on, Saudi ownership, it's alive and well. As to whether or not Newcastle become an established part of the elite in English football remains to be seen. It all gets underway again when Premier League football comes back after this particular international break. England, Wales, cane a doubt. More on that throughout the afternoon on talkSPORT. England play Wales. Maybe no Harry Kane featuring in that one. He didn't train this morning. It's live in talkSPORT. That's tomorrow night. We're going to finish with that in just a few moments. It's Jim White, Simon Jordan and Danny Murphy. We're live in talkSPORT. Danny, it's always said the players have got to have a seat at the table. They've got to be there to discuss certain aspects of the modern day game. And we know what happened on Monday. On Monday, UEFA on one hand reluctantly approved the requests from the Italian and Spanish domestic leagues to stage matches abroad, but in the same breath reiterated its clear opposition to the plans. So we're going to have a game played in Perth, Australia. We're going to have a game played in Miami, Florida. Even though UEFA are not for it, they're going along with it. AC Milan midfielder Adrian Rabiot has described Serie A's plans to schedule its side's league game against Como in Perth, Australia, as absolutely crazy, really absurd. And of course, he's going to be involved in it. He says it's madness. There are financial agreements to ensure the league has a certain level of visibility. But all of this is beyond our control. It's crazy to travel so many kilometres to play a match between two Italian teams in Australia. There's a lot of talk about player health, but all of this seems really absurd.
Well, I tend to agree, but I don't agree. He's just got to get on. You get paid by the club a silly amount of money to playing in one of the biggest teams in Europe, and just shut up and get on with it. I never felt like empowered enough or egotistical enough to ever dream of having a conversation with anybody at the football club I was at about what they were going to be doing in regards to fixtures or pre-season. Or you might have a whinge to the lads. It's like, oh, why are we going there? Oh, that's a pain. I'd rather not do that. You know, players whinge. We're great whingers. But you'd never go upstairs and go, hold on, what's going on here?
Would you not question this, though?
To whom?
If you're at Liverpool and it's suddenly announced, Danny, you're going to be playing Fulham in Perth, Australia at the turn of the year. Enjoy it. What?
No, I wouldn't.
You'd have an opinion on it.
I would.
But with the rest of the players?
Yeah. And I wouldn't go to... I would just assume that the manager... Because logic would suggest no manager or sports science team would be wanting that to happen. So if the manager's coming to you and it's a group of players and saying, look, we've got to go and play this game, let's get on with it, we'd probably know he wouldn't be on board with it because it is illogical, it's stupid. But if you've got to do it, you're playing for one of the biggest clubs in the world, you're getting paid ridiculous amounts of money that you don't see quite like now how you see it.
That compensates for the lot, though.
Well, it's also your place in
the pay packet.
But it's your place on the ladder at the, you know, in what's the word, within the
food chain.
The food chain, that's it.
Thank you.
I felt lucky to be there.
So you should.
And I always thought if I get a bit above my station here, I might lose my place. So actually, I'll shut up and get on with it. Even though you'd whinge to the play, you might have a whinge. You know when you're travelling, you go in Singapore or Bangkok and all that, and you're doing the tour with the trophies, and you're jumping on another plane, and it's stupid humidity, and you're sweating, and you have a whinge to the lads, but you just get on because you're playing for Liverpool.
I mean, the craziness of this, Simon, to me, is that UEFA have approved
Rabiot should get his
but they're clearly opposed to it.
Rabiot should get his mum to sort it out. She looks after him.
Yeah. Well, UEFA are the guardians of the European game, so they will understand that the cornerstone of domestic football has been established. That at home, and we saw that during COVID, we saw the switch of outcomes in home games where home teams no longer had the advantage because they didn't have the partisan fans, and we saw a different outcome during COVID of teams playing away against home games. So we know that home and away games feature in the integrity and the fabric of the sport. So taking it on tour denies some of that. It also takes away some of the value that you're supposed to have, which is your fan base. It's supposed to be fundamentally important. But now that the world is bigger and bolder and more globalized, your fan base isn't just located 500 yards from your stadium anymore.
Right.
It's around the world. So you are, in fact, taking it somewhere else. So UEFA have to suggest that they don't like it, but legally there's nothing they can do about it. So it's a wasted comment. Now the players' position, I mean, I'd love to have these players have a conversation with someone like Marinakis, see how far they get on. Don't fancy doing this, see how that works out for them with Marinakis. We saw it worked out for Norman Gibbs White when he wanted to leave. Get on the plane. It's riveting what their input is. Absolutely riveting. But it's irrelevant because the reasons why there was such a need to generate revenue is because all the bleed and money in the room is going to the players. And the fact that this seems to have evaded people, and the fact that people actually walking down the street seem to have some empathy with these players, it staggers me.
Okay,
because
closer to home tomorrow night, Wembley, not far from here. England take on Wales in an international. It's live in talkSPORT. And of course, as you might imagine, when a nation like mine, like Scotland, plays England, we dearly want to beat England. When Wales play England, you dearly want to beat England. Wales have a chance of doing this tomorrow night. But Craig Bellamy has been talking about this perceived rivalry.
The rivalry, thanks for others. I don't buy into it. It's not with me. I've grown up in England. I have full respect for how they support their athletes. Always have done. And my football education's been in England, so I'm beyond grateful for what England have given me. Now, this is a team, and they go to tournaments, they're looking to win it. And I believe that it's a matter of time. I thought it would have happened before now, but it's still a matter of time. We get the opportunity and to go and play, like I said, a top manager, top nation, rivalry and all that. That's for what? You know, our biggest rivals are ourselves. Who we are. It's us against us. Always is. What's the version we want to carry? Who are the people we represent? That's our identity.
That was interesting, wasn't it? I mean, I can't imagine that's going to be Craig's team talk as they walk out. It's a matter of time, boys, before England actually win a major tournament. Good luck.
I think he's quite clever and cute with the way he's done that. I like that tone and that messaging because it's similar to what I remember before playing Everton, Man United, Liverpool. Julio was very much of that. It's more about don't get
caught up in it.
Don't buy into it.
Yeah, because it's going to change your emotion. You're going to, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. That kind of, it's all about us. I like that. You know, the gone are the days. I remember being at England, Scotland at Wembley and seeing the passion. Well, it's called passion, horrendous behaviour of both sets of supporters and all that horribleness and that rivalry. But it's no good. It's not something you want to see. So I understand.
I think it's clever. It's very clever. It's the polar opposite of what people would have expected from Craig in that press conference. To some extent, it's polar opposite of what he's been suggesting over the last 18 months that he's been in situ at Wales about the passion and the desire, and they don't go to games to feature seconds. They go to games to win games now. So rather than he'll be saying the polar opposite in the dressing room to the players at the time and when he calls to action for them.
Yeah, that's
but to the media, he's not going to build up this narrative of the Welsh fire-breathing dragon of a manager that's coming to haunt the English. Won't do it. And I think that's very clever of Craig, very mature.
And I think also the way football's gone over the last 10 years with the rules and changes and the lack of physicality, the derby thing or all that stuff. I don't know. The rivalry.
Mature
it can't become. You
like
can't be physical, can you?
Yeah.
Game, yeah.
That's a massive game. You're dead right, Danny.
Come on, Greece.
And we'll be... Sorry?
Come on, Greece.
Why did we not dedicate any time to that today?
We will do, Danny. We'll be doing that on another show at another time. Of that, there is no doubt. But we shall see how the Welsh get on tomorrow night at Wembley. It's been reported in various quarters that Steven Gerrard will be talking to Rangers sometime this week, and we'll see what comes about thereafter if he goes back to Rangers, just as Javi Gracia has done this morning, going back to Watford. Danny, thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Sorry, I decided to thank you when you had a full mouth of water there. Simon, just as always, just brilliant. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you.
Back tomorrow at 10. It's 1 o'clock.